lot of individuals who, Jewish Americans who in some way interact with the Israeli project. And she's saying like that there is no innocence here. In any case, even if there was, like, there should be an active effort to stop the harm that Israel causes. I'm really curious what everyone else has to say about this. I have mixed thoughts myself, but wondering where you all be. So we'll start with our friend Lactoid and work our way around.
Yeah, I'm Lactoid. You can find me at Lactoid TV on Twitch and YouTube. I actually did have a while ago, before I even knew this was going to be a prime panel topic, and Doobie can attest to this. I had a little bit of discussion with Doobie on this very topic, and look, I'll be honest with you. There are certain things about Israel that I think Doobie has convinced me of. Not everything, of course, but certain things. I think that his information and sources were a big part in, for me, coming to the conclusion that I think Israel's gone too far, and that I think should be taking a step back from what they've been doing, and that the U.S. should stop funding Israel taking things too far, which we do. That being said, there are some parts of this article that I think are really problematic, to use a super left-coded term. The first thing is just right at the start, right? So how the article starts. Quote,
it's very redundant.
I have come to have tremendous disdain for my people, the evil we have wrought, and the demons we have become. Our craven hypocrisy, our Holocaust hand-wringing, our selfish dissociation, our bottomless both-sidesing, our catatonic inaction, our feeble sign-waving, our condescending condemnations, our wallowing victim complex, our self-indulgent betrayals, and then I just keep going. It's a whole paragraph of just the problem with quote-unquote my people, which in this case is Jews. And the article is, yes, all Jews. I think there's problems with that. If this article was limited to, I think that there is a problem amongst the Jewish community where Zionism seems to be too widely accepted. And I think that those Zionists need to do more self-reflection to come away from these beliefs that they hold. I mean, that would be a relatively milquetoast article. But I think this person goes much further than that and makes claims that are much more extreme than that. And I think that's, I don't think anybody denies that she's batshit crazy if you look into this person at all. I mean, this person advocates for the complete destruction of America. I mean, it's truly some pretty harebrained shit. And so I don't like the author. I don't agree with the author. I think there is some semblance of a point in the article, but it's lost because she just goes way too ham.
Okay. So, and I didn't, for if the audience wants to follow along, it's a long article. Yes, it's called, the title, Yes, All Jews. And I would link this, but I feel like I might get in trouble. I don't know
it's that
happened.
Bad.
I don't think it's bad, but I don't know how the Twitch mods and the YouTube mods are going to be. I don't know, right? Which is a problem.
What's that thing Voldemort said?
Yeah. I'll
Dumbledore
tell you the link
about Voldemort.
No, I'm in Voldemort.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I know.
So age. So if you just read the URL, if you want to take a look, it's AgeLender, AGELENDER.substack.com /P/yes-all-Jews. But if you search Yes All Jews and AgeLender, AGELENDER, I should be able to find it. Okay, if you want to check out the article for yourself. All right, so let's go to our friend Hunter.
Yes, the second most important person in Andrew Callahan's life, as we've asserted, not third. Okay. This article is, I'll be honest, I didn't fully read it. I had a lot going on today, but I scanned quite a bit. I also want to frame the
I
argument.
sent it to you days ago, though.
Yeah, I know, but I procrastinated until today, and then today was busy.
A true academic.
I did scan it, and I am ready to have the conversation in class. I want to frame the argument. I might describe myself as Jewish, but just to frame it, my dad's Jewish, and I didn't really grow up religiously Jewish at all. I am ethnically, I suppose. My, Israel, I am able to get Israel citizenship and get a birthright trip, and also Hitler would consider me Jewish. So I think I can call myself Jewish for the purposes of the debate. But in case there's an Orthodox screaming at me, I understand you probably don't consider me Jewish. I wonder a lot with this essay, what specifically the prescription is. Like, I understand that it's that Jews writ large should sort of take accountability for what Israel is doing, but are we advocating for people to just sort of stop someone with a yarmulke in the street and berate them about what's going on in Palestine and ask them for their opinion? Earlier in the debate, we kind of talked about shibboleths, right? That like there are specific words that we look to signify if you're an in-group. And I feel like with Israel and Palestine, it kind of, we're looking for shibboleths to say the right word, to say genocide, or to say, I don't know, there's a bunch of different words to just signify that you're on the right team. And this is a really complex, nuanced situation that I think you can kind of be, I mean, my position is largely pro-Palestine, but I think I'm pretty nuanced about it. I think you can recognize what Hamas is, what Hamas stands for, what their, what their beliefs are, and recognize that doesn't, as a Jew, it can get pretty complicated. And not allowing that nuance to exist as a human being is pretty weird, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead, Prime. I'm excited for the anti-Semitism in this debate. We're all feeling it.
Let's go. Sam is out. He wants no part of the anti-Semitism. He's like, anti-Semitism, I'm out.
I see that super chat. I'm going to read it when I get to the person, but thank you. I am going to get to your super chat. You know what I'm talking about. Let's go to our friend Corey.
So at least from what I gathered from the art from this, there's two things that I gathered from this very, very nuanced and very passionate article. It's like, one, Israel is evil, and two, America is evil. So in my mind, the only solution is like they should just nuke each other. Like, problem solved. Obviously, I think that's the only logical conclusion. But I echo Hunter's criticism that I pretty much I came to the same conclusion. Like, there's no, from what I can tell, and I might just be illiterate, there's no actual substance there of like what to do other than like, yeah, should we just start berating Jewish people? Yeah, I don't. But I see no meaningful prescription in that article. That like is not really actionable. It's not, and I at the very least don't see that it's going to lead to any meaningful change. But I could be wrong. But other than that, yeah, I don't think there's like as much as, again, I echo Hunter's sentiments as well, as like largely pro-Palestine. But I don't think this article does anything to like further that movement in any meaningful way. And I'll leave it there for now.
So I just want to say, I do want to say one thing. I don't know what this mean quickly. What is meaningful? I don't understand. Like, we're all talking about articles here. None of these things are meaningful, right? I don't know what article does anything.
Some more than others.
No. But there's often prescriptions attached.
I shouldn't.
Okay, we can get into that in the debate. But
yeah. I just okay. Let's go to our friend Ali.
Yeah. I don't know. This article just seemed like someone who is, in the beginning, she said she's disgusted with what her people have been doing, and especially in her name, right? Like, we constantly hear the conflation of Israel and Jewish people, how Israel's the only Jewish state, how Israel's the only state that keeps the Jews safe, right? Outside of Israel, we have this thing. So there's this tie to like Jews that Israel has, and then the actions that get done by them are also done in their name too, right? So it kind of gets expounded. And after 3 years now of watching people, Arabs go on and Muslims go on and discuss, and having us we had to condemn Hamas, we had to condemn Hezbollah, we have to condemn terrorist attacks all over the world. It's just like constantly in our faces, right? But then when it gets to the Jews, right, or when it gets to Zionists, they don't have to confront any of these things. And then the third part, which is like, which is why I think the article is actually just yes, all Jews. It would be the Zionist argument's fault. Anytime you say anything about Zionism or Zionists and how Zionists are bad or Zionism is bad, it always gets met with you. Well, the overwhelming majority of Zionists of Jews are Zionists, over 90%, 95%, 97%. So are you saying all Jews are this way? And it's like, well, you're saying all Jews are this way. If Zionism is a chosen ideology and being Jewish is just something you're born into, well, then no, I'm judging the ideology that you chose to believe in, not judging what you were born into. And so I think this article is kind of pushing back against all that. In her name, in being Jewish, all of these atrocities have happened, all of these arguments have happened, and then this labeling of anti-Semitism going around. At a certain point, all of this creates more anti-Semitism towards non-affiliated Jewish people, right? The 10% or 5% or 3% of non-Zionist Jews who are just trying to live, who are maybe even in support of Palestine, right? This anti-Semitism gets thrown on them. They have to bear the guilt of a nation that does atrocities supposedly in their name and for their safety. So I completely understand why she kind of went off the wall in this article.
Thank you so much. Let's go to our friend Doobie.
So I just want to be clear about like what we're actually discussing, I think. So the reason I suggested this to Prime is because I had a discussion with this about this with Wick earlier. Was it last week? I think it was last week. And Wick's position was that this is anti-Semitic. She's anti-Semitic. She wants to kill all the Jews, yada, yada, right? My position was this seems very standard. It's not so much that Jews are collectively responsible for the crimes of Israel, but that there's a collective responsibility within the community to target an evil within the community. Very similar to what we've seen with like Muslims, right? When there were issues in Muslim mosques of jihadism and people calling for violence, the Muslim community was told, hey, you guys have a responsibility to wipe this out of your community. The Black community gets this all the time, right? Issues of criminality, gang culture, etc. They're told, hey, this is a problem within your community. It's all of your responsibility to do something about it, to target this thing and then wipe it out. Same thing happened with Christians, right? Like homophobia. Exactly the same kind of rhetoric. So same thing, and if you want to go like historically, this happened with the Germans after World War II. All Germans were in some way held collectively responsible for Nazism and the damage of Nazism, right? And there was an understanding that that going forward, all Germans had a responsibility to ensure that this evil didn't take root again. So to me, it seems along that line. I think obviously the rhetoric is very inflammatory. I don't agree with the prescriptions. I don't agree with, I'm not like a laying back lefty person, right? So I don't agree with like just wiping out the United States and Israel and sending everybody to wherever the fuck. But I just don't think it's anti-Semitic, right? Whether or not the ideas are good. To me, this is just like an internal critique of the community, a very inflammatory internal critique of the community, along the same line of like Jewish tradition, right? Like there are Jewish prophets that held all of Israel collectively responsible for moral failings within the community and called them like demons and a pit of vipers and things like this. So to me, it seems like along that line, along the line of Jewish tradition, but also the kind of like collective responsibility frame that we've held for other communities without an issue. So I don't think there's anything anti-Semitic about holding this community to the same standard. And I think it'd be anti-Semitic not to do that, actually.
Okay. Thank you for that. And we'll go to someone who I haven't had here in a long time. Connor, we're happy to have you back. And before then, just quick super chat from Michael Hadgetube says, holy shit, great beard trim counterpoints. So they like your beard. Oh, hold on. Well, why don't we let everyone experience it? Hold on one second. Okay. It looks good. It looks good. You look good. You look handsome.
Beautiful.
So shout out to him. Yeah. And thank you, Michael, for again the other kind super chat. Oh, wait a minute. We got another before you do it. We got another super chat.
Awful beard trim counterpoint.
No, this is a longer one. I see you, grassroots, and I will okay, so yeah, I'll once we're done with opening statements, then I'll read your super chat. But I see it. All right, go ahead. Counterpoints, please.
Yeah, so I'm ecstatic to just concede to Doobie immediately. It's so good, but I'm going to walk you through it, okay? So the article And I think the stat is actually 88%. So 88% of Jews support some kind of Jewish state. So there's like 10 to 12% that don't. But even out of the 10 to 12% that don't, the article points out that roughly half of those people are two-staters, meaning that they don't want to dissolve the state of Israel. They just want to freeze the border and have like a Palestinian state that is viewed as co-equal. So that's where she's kind of saying like, yes, 95% of Jews are guilty of Zionism. And realistically, even the remaining 5% are not sufficiently critical of Israel in order to actually do something about this like ideological scourge on the planet. Now, I do think that Ali was underselling it a little bit. She was not only saying that she was sick of Jews en masse being complicit in the crimes of the state of Israel. She was actually saying that you are insufficiently anti-Zionist unless you're willing to praise the Al-Qassam brigades.
Correct.
And the revered,
7th.
glorious
spice.
October 7th, 2023 counter-revolutionary
Miraculous.
action.
Mhm.
Miraculous.
Yeah, a little
It was
spicy.
divinely
Al-Aqsa
inspired.
flood. Yeah.
Right, the Al-Aqsa flood. And then she did say, and I do think this is very interesting, she said effectively all of these people within these ideological frames are the same to her. So if you're a greater Israel biblical literalist or Torah liberalist, where you think that it is the Jews' divine right to inherit the territory east of the Nile and west of the Euphrates, then even the next step, which I would argue Bibi Netanyahu is, which is annexing southern Lebanon south of the Litani River, annexing Gaza, and annexing what they call Judea and Samaria, which is effectively the West Bank. If you're a two-stater who wants to freeze the borders, or basically, if you're even a two-stater who wants to freeze the borders, you are insufficiently anti-Zionist, and the only correct anti-Zionist position is the total dissolution of the state of Israel and the emigration of Jews back to whatever homelands they came from in the past 100 years, okay? Now, the reason why I'm going to mockingly concede the debate to Doobie immediately is because I fucking love the collective guilt. I love it. It's so great, okay? So I, as a white guy, I have to take accountability for the sins of colonialism, decolonialism, nationalism, racism, Native American genocide, West African slavery. But now I get to say, hey, blacks, you're responsible for disproportionate criminality. Hey, Muslims, you're responsible for jihadist terrorism. Hey, Jews, you're responsible for Zionism. And then we can just all have like an awesome intellectual political discourse where we just argue about whose community is more fucked up and whose responsibility it is to police their own community more. And while so the real position is, I think that's fucked up and it's going to be counterproductive if every time I'm on a panel with Ali, I'm like, take responsibility for jihadism, you fucking Islamist piece of shit. Like, I don't think that that's really going to result in good conversation. It could be really funny, though. So I'm like, I'm torn. I'm torn between the comedic value of collective guilt and the actual destruction of our political discourse.
I think you've gotten Lactoid on board with that last bit.
It could be fun. Imagine going on every Prime panel and just being like, "Hey,
Yes,
Prime,
all black
apologize for black criminality now." Like
in his FUBU jacket.
it could be fun.
Could be. And then last but not least, and hopefully he'll be able to make it through the whole thing. Our friend Bam, please.
Okay. Can y'all hear me?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, for now.
Hello? Okay, good. Just making sure. I'm guessing that Connor ended up saying at least something I wanted to point to. I don't think it's good when we do collective blame as a whole against communities as a whole. Like we say, like, oh, it's fine when we do it against Muslims and it's fine when we do it to black. I usually don't like when black people get pigeonholed into having to accept the responsibilities of criminality, especially when there's a lot of other factors that lead into it. Now, I don't think that leads to good outcomes. I actually think that it's led to a lot of the negative outcomes we see as a whole, and a lot of the negative externalities end up being sort of, I guess, supposed upon us. I think that we can have a conversation about the links that Israel has gone to in the recent conflict. I've even was forced in a conversation make concession on what
Hey, you're bad. It's bad. It's
What?
bad. It's bad.
I'm out
We
again.
can-
Don't worry about it.
You're okay.
Sorry, bro.
I don't know.
Yeah, we want you to, or maybe try your phone. Hey, Bam, like consider using your phone. That might
That
do
feels
it.
awful, but I'll try it.
Yeah. Okay. So while he's working on that, we'll jump into it. I have a super chat, so I just want to get this out of the way, and then we'll jump right into it.
I also want to say
Super
something.
chat from Grassroots Hegemon. It says, "Look of that psycho broad. Want all the Jews to be gone. I'm a federalist. I recommend starting the project at home." I don't know.
To be clear, he's Jewish.
saying-
he probably
yeah,
just
she's
wants
saying-
to deport that chick. That's what he's saying.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
I didn't,
Well, no, he's saying
Gotcha.
she should kill herself.
Yeah. He's a Jew. He wants her to be deported
Okay.
from the United States.
Okay.
I gotta say,
I think she's
so-
self-deported. She's she moved to like Poland or some shit. Not Poland. I can't remember. It's like one of the Swedish countries. One of the in that general direction.
Yeah,
Mission
yeah,
accomplished.
Lactoid
There we go.
homeland.
She did it.
So
think she
yeah,
was born in San
Grassroots.
Diego.
Sorry, that did not come across. Though I appreciate the $20. You can send more suspect super chats as long as
If you want to
$20.
clarify and refine your position, you
If
can
you want
send
to
more money.
clarify, yeah. But thank you, seriously, thank you for the $20.
Keep correct.
We really
Keep
appreciate that. And there was another one from Grassroots Hegemon, $5. Says, "Look, if we are going to collectively get on Prime's ass, it should be for being a socialist."
And
to be
Lactoid.
honest.
He's a socialist.
Yeah,
And Lactoid.
God,
All
at least two
socialists.
socialists. So that's great. Yeah. Hey, I'll accept that, and I'll whenever you guys want to meet me on the field of battle and to lose, yeah, I'm available. So, but yeah, thank you so much for the kindness, the $5.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll throw it to you, Lactoid, first.
Oh, my God.
So
I'm
I
sorry,
think,
Oliver, you want to I'll go to you next.
You're good.
So there is in this article a very explicit prescription for what this author thinks should happen. I'm just going to read right here. Quote, genuine Jew. I'm saying quote very clearly to Twitch moderator chat. Okay, this is a quote.
This is a quote from the article. Not
This is a quote from the article. This is not my belief. Quote, genuine Jewish anti-Zionists unwaveringly support the total eradication of Israel and the greater Satan, America, spelled with a K,
I said they should nuke each other. That was
full
pretty clear.
land back without a speck of Zionist or Euro-American imperial settler colonial control. This includes Jews supporting removing fellow Jews from Palestine while ensuring they don't do harm where they go, further displace indigenous peoples elsewhere, and open, reverent support for Palestine's armed resistance. Gaza's Mujahideen are the heart of the struggle, currently spearheaded by Hamas's Al-Qassam brigades, who executed the miraculous Al-Aqsa flood on October 7th, 2023. An operation that genuine Jewish anti-Zionist unequivocally recognizes the most prolific anti-colonial operations, or one of the most prolific anti-colonial operations in history. Now, this paragraph,
End quote. End quote.
end quote, end quote, end
End
quote.
quote. No more
thank you.
thoughts there.
So this
Looking out for
paragraph,
you, Lactoid.
thank you, I appreciate that. This paragraph, obviously, I mean, throughout the entire article, I mean, there's some crazy shit later on too about how like Islam is actually the wellspring of resistance and Judaism is like godless.
Yeah,
and
she
evil.
knows she can convert, right? Like,
Yeah, she can. I mean, the language here is very absolutist. It's very aggressive, of course, but it's also genocidal, right? All people in Israel, all Jews in Israel, all 6-7 million of them, they all go
That's ethnic cleansing,
Actually,
not genocide.
yeah, I've been reminded
Does
by
my
Zionists that
prescription
that's,
fulfill
That's
her
ethnic
criteria?
cleansing. That's not genocide. We need to be very specific with our language when it comes to the people in this region.
Yeah,
So
they're very. Yeah.
that is ethnic cleansing, not genocide. Just so we're clear.
I think if I disagree somewhat. I think that in like a perfect world, you could categorize it that way. But if you're designating this as they all need to go, and then you proceed to praise the Al-Aqsa flood, which was direct killing of civilians, as being a heroic action, knowing full well all these 6 million Jews, 7 million Jews are not just going to leave Israel. The prescription here, I think, is killing them all. I think it's
the prescription that's happening to the Palestinians and being done in her name. So like this whole thing with the conflation of like, oh, the Al-Aqsa Mosque and or the Al-Aqsa flood and all this. For the past 3 years, Israel's been killing mass civilians, taking land from other people, and people have been praising it and saying that the IDF is the most moral army in the world.
Whoa,
so after
who are we talking to?
I'm not saying
Zionist.
Who's saying that?
I'm not talking to you specifically, but we're talking about.
Well, according to the article, I'm a Zionist, but I'm not saying that.
Yeah, he's Jewish.
I understand that, but a lot of Zionists do say that. A lot of people do get on and debate and have this conversation, and to the point where our government funds this, and we are in agreement that they are one of the most moral armies in the world. They drop their pamphlets and they make their calls. So for 3 years, we've been watching these people do terrorism in the Middle East. No one says anything. No one calls it out. There's no condemnation. So after 3 years of condemning Hamas and condemning Hezbollah and condemning the whole thing, yeah, I think it is kind of weird that like we're okay with one version of ethnic cleansing and genocide and bombing and white phosphorus and taking over land, but then when the other people do it, it's that one's terrorism, but this one is.
Yeah, those people are psychopaths.
Well, just to quickly respond, this would be a perfect argument for making an article that was like ironically about this and saying like, aha, so this is crazy, isn't it? Well, isn't it also crazy?
Ironic. I think she's.
I know she's not being ironic. That's the problem.
I think she's watching a genocide happen in her name, right? At least a perceived genocide happen in her name. I think she's watching anti-Semitism go on a rise.
And so then she's like, let's genocide these people.
I think she's watching the leaders of the only Jewish state in the most practical Jewish state go absolutely terrorist crazy, and she's officially.
Yeah, and then she falls into genocide.
Would you say that Israel's committing genocide in Lebanon right now?
Well,
I don't think so.
Wait, hold on.
Okay,
hold on. Galactoid. They're specifically requiring. They're calling the Christian and Druze communities there and tell them they need to kick out the Shia Muslims.
Don't hide your Shias.
Expel them. Yeah, don't hide your Shias. like it's.
I get it.
But I think Apple Maps has effectively erased the bottom of Lebanon off their maps. The cities are no longer listed now.
Yeah. So Connor, if that's ethnic cleansing and it's not genocide, then why is what she's suggesting genocide? I mean, I'm assuming those people also don't want to leave. Many of them will not peacefully leave.
Well, so sorry for interrupting, but I would categorize, if we were to take, let's say that we dissolve the nation state of Israel, and let's say that we had like almost like a magic wand. Nobody's going to shoot each other. We're all just going to like hive mind it and execute the exact same agenda at the same time. So all of the Jews in Israel agree this is no longer safe. We're joking about the last 100 years. We're going to head out. So all the Maghrebis and the Mizrahis and the Ashkenazis pick up sticks and go back to wherever their grandpas were from. Okay. So if we did that, I wouldn't consider that a genocide because these people still exist. They still have their culture. They still have their religion. I would consider it ethnic cleansing, though, because effectively you've taken an ethno-religious group and you've removed it from the territory. But this isn't even the most interesting aspect of the conversation for me. What is the most interesting aspect of the conversation to me is how should we hold people, quote unquote, accountable for the collective guilt of their ethno-religious, racial, demographic group? Where do we draw the line? And also, what are we asking of those people prescriptively?
Yes.
Because well, hold on, real quick. I just think that this article is wild because it's demanding that Jews become complicit in the dissolution of the state of Israel and of the United States. And it also says that if you don't praise Hamas, then you're not sufficiently anti-Zionist. That's not going to happen, right? So what's the real ask?
Okay, so I mean, I think she's pretty clear about what her ask is, right? So she sees Zionism as an evil that has taken over the Jewish community, taken over just about all the Jewish institutions. She thinks that if you were in this community and you're not doing anything to fight this, you were complicit. I think we would hold. So if 80 to 90% of white people were Nazis, right? And they were having Nazi meetings, and the white institutions were pushing Nazism, and parents were sending their kids off to Nazi camp. I think you would agree, hey, if you're in this community and you're not saying anything about this, you are complicit in some way. She's making that exact same argument. And what she's demanding is that Jews unite against Zionism and cut it out of the community. I think it's like the heading of the article, like the subheading of the article. It's the Jews must unite to cut Zionism away from Judaism or something like this. Right? She wants to disconnect the two because right now she believes that Zionism has basically infected the Jewish community.
But I want to press you on that because I feel like you're sandwashing the article a little bit. So
no, not at all.
Well, hold on. So does let's say we all agree hypothetically that this is a good idea. Okay, anti-Zionism is based. Let's go. Okay, so do you think that if all the anti-Zionists fail to praise Hamas as revolutionary freedom fighters, they are insufficiently anti-Zionist?
Okay, so I understand what she's.
That's what she says. I'm asking you for your opinion.
But you're talking about you're disagreeing with her prescriptions now. You think she's going too far, and like I said, I think she's going too far. She would say that I'm not a true anti-Zionist, right? And I fucking hate Zionism.
Correct.
However, disagreeing with her prescriptions does not equal anti-Semitism. First off, it doesn't equal. She has no prescriptions at all. Yeah, I think she's going too far in her prescriptions. But I think short of demanding that all Jews fight to destroy the United States or whatever and destroy Israel. Short of that, I think the core of her argument or the core of her prescription is if you're within the Jewish community, we need to cut Zionism out of the Jewish community because it's an evil, and defending this evil has reduced us morally and has brought us to the lowest point in history in terms our morality.
I want to.
That's not even true though.
Why is that not true?
Hold on to that. I want to toss it to Corey. And I do have some super chats. Let me get through the super chats and I'm going to Corey, and then we can go back to you, Connor. So don't forget what your objections are. Okay. So we have a few super chats. $5 from Flare Runner. Explain grillhoudism to lactoid. He might be down, which is weird for me, but that would be anti-grillism. Oh, grilladism, anti-grilladist.
Grillhoudism. So being extreme about being normal.
He wants to spread the grills all around the world. He's on
the grills are a deep well of moral justification that I draw from to fight the evils.
It's like being hardcore on centrist or down for the status quo. Is that what it is?
No, so unironically, my community is the COG. It's the community of grillhoutists. And basically, we're just extreme about trying to be as fucking normal as possible.
Okay. Which means status quo. That's another way for status quo, though.
Yeah, radically moderate.
Yeah.
That's oh god, kind of lame. But thank you.
Having friends and family to grill meat with.
Better than. Sorry. Wait a minute. Hold on. No. Actually, no. It's a problem. No, it's a problem. No. Fuck that. Right. So again, thank you, Fellrunner. I'm not saying fuck you. You're cool. You're the coolest person here.
Give me more money.
You're only saying that because he gave you $5.
Yeah. But
he'll say it again too.
But fuck this idea of being aggressively normal. No, actually, you should be questioning the status quo. That's the good thing to do. The good thing to do is actually to
should be glorifying Hamas.
Right.
Okay. That's what I said. Out of your mouth. That's fine. $10.
The miraculous Al-Aqsa flood.
Grassroots hegemon. I appreciate Connor, a non-Jew, inviting me, another non-Jew, into the tribe, and I humbly decline out of respect. Okay, so I guess he's not Jewish.
My bad. That was anti-Semitic of me. I assumed because he had money, he was Jewish. So my bad. My bad.
But he tipped, so that should have been a sign.
Just so we're clear, Doobie isn't Jewish either, Connor.
No, Jewish mobs I do not support.
I didn't say anything. I don't know what you're talking about.
No, I am 1.1%. Okay,
that's true. That's
true. 23andMe. True.
He's got a test. Yeah, he is.
23andMe is like dissolved.
I mean, to be fair, I'm probably part Jewish if we were to test.
Probably. So
you agree they're from that region?
Last one, also from Grassroots, $5 says, "I've humbly invited you over to my neighbor's house." Me? Is that me? I don't know.
He's talking to Connor, I think, still about the
maybe Connor
Jewish thing.
He probably has a grill.
But thank you for the kindness, grassroots. Seriously, much appreciated. But yeah, like fuck being like quote unquote normal and like elevating that as if that's like uncritically, right? I think most normal things are probably good. That's probably why they're normal, but not all normal things. And I don't like the idea of aggressively defending normal things just because they're the things that you're used to, right? The things that you grew up with. And so they must have some sort of value to them. No, actually question all of it. Every single bit of it. The things that are worth it will stick around. All right. My opinion. All right, let's go to our friend Corey, and we'll hit up Connor later on.
Doobie, and I guess maybe the others, like assuming, okay, like working under the assumption that it's an ethnic cleansing or a genocide, like, do you think then the United States should invade Israel?
Personally,
or let's say the world?
I'm look along that line, but I don't think we need to go that far.
Why not? Well, because I would say.
Don't ask me. I'm all for
you're not
it.
sufficiently anti-Zionist.
Is there not a moral imperative to stop a genocide? As
yes.
in like,
so hold on. So like most Democrats now, which I was actually Prime. I don't know if you've seen those polls, but most Democrats now favor sanctions on Israel. The same sanctions that took part South Africa.
Should we have sanctioned Germany?
Yes. What? Yes.
But no, as in only sanctioned Germany.
I agree. So I agree. It does make sense to go a lot further, and I think it would make sense.
But why not boots on the ground though? If it,
I'd be in favor of that. The issue with Israel is that I don't trust the United States to be like.
So what about the world? Let's say Europe. Europe invades Israel.
Yeah, I'd be fine with that. Then like coming with the military and providing security for both sides. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
But I mean, the last thing.
Sorry.
I was going to say, so you guys keep hitting on this miraculous Al-Aqsa flood thing, and I understand, given what happened on October 7th, that's very fucked. It's a fucked language.
To put it mildly.
Yeah. However, looking at it from her perspective, and trying to understand her perspective, I think is important here because it's through her perspective that she's calling it this. And from her perspective, she doesn't believe that there were like mass rapes. Actually, I don't believe there were mass rapes. Rapes happened, but I don't think it was like a systemic mass rape thing like that was pushed initially. So she doesn't believe that happened. She also doesn't believe that as many civilians were killed as by Hamas as is claimed. She believes that a lot of these people were killed by the IDF, right? By their helicopters, and this is true. That at least some of them were killed by the IDF. We know this. But I'm not going to say that most of the civilian casualties were killed by the IDF, obviously. But I think from her perspective, and I think I agree with Hassan on this actually. I saw him do an interview recently with was it Pod Save America where this came out because he said that like Hamas is like 1,000 times better than Israel or something like this. And I think that the perspective that he looks at it through, that I look through it through, is you basically have a population that has been subjected to brutal oppression for decades. A lot of these people have grown up. And this brutal oppression is all they've ever known. All they know is a situation where they're being bombed and ritualistically like humiliated every day. Family members being detained with no charges, raped, tortured. There's fucking countless studies and research on this where you can look at this. It happens all the time. It happens all the time. And in the Israeli society right now, and previously, it favors this kind of behavior for the Palestinians, right? I mean, we can look back to the first Intifada and the break their bones policy, right? Where they're breaking the bones of protesters on purpose, like, including children. So this is the brutal oppression they've been subjected to. So yeah, if you're subjected to this, if you're a Jewish person or you were outside of the Aryan box that Hitler had, and you grew up in Nazi Germany, you'd probably fucking hate Germans, right? Like I would totally understand if you hated all Germans because Germans were the ones oppressing you. Even if it was actually this political party or this military, and not every individual German. But I think that's kind of what you need to. That's the lens that I see it through. That yes, there is hatred toward all Jews that exists within Hamas, absolutely. But I think the root of that is the oppression. It's sort of like if you were an African American growing up in the South during slavery, you'd probably hate fucking white people. You'd hate all of them because they're the people that have been oppressing you, even if. There were some white people that were trying to undo slavery, right? That's also true. But from the perspective of somebody who's living, with getting the whip to their back every other day, that doesn't fucking matter. What matters is the people oppressing you look like this. They all look like this, and all of them support this from your perspective. So fuck them, right? So I can understand her not wanting to bash them or condemn them or focus on the condemnation of the civilian murder or the tactics or whatever, because the root of the problem isn't Hamas, it's the occupation, it's Zionism. Just as in the South, the root of the evil, or it wasn't Nat Turner's rebellion, right? And he did kill civilians. It was slavery, right? So you can say, hey, this is the wrong way to deal with this, but I'm not living under that. I'm a privileged person, not living with this kind of oppression every day. I don't know if I was, I might fucking do the same shit, right? So
I don't think John Brown said to all the white people, leave or die.
Well, hold on, but again,
I think if he did, there'd be a problem, right?
Hold on, do you think? And this is another reason I don't think it's anti-Semitic at all, right? So when she mentions the destruction of America, I think it's because I think she mentions that she believes the United States is built on basically the graves of indigenous people, right? Mm-hmm. Which is true. Being real, it is true. And I think that the reason she says America needs to be destroyed is because it's also an evil colonial project built on rape, torture, and death. Yeah, she's totally consistent. She's applying the same standard across the board to different people groups. It's not something she's applying just to Jews.
Well, it's to all of those that she's a part of, right? Because it's self-hatred.
I don't think is she applying this consistently to like migrants in Europe? I don't think so.
You'd have to ask her. But she mentions the United States. She mentions Israel. And why?
Because I don't know for sure. I haven't writing.
Why would she apply it to migrants of Europe? It wouldn't make sense to apply it to migrants of Europe.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, not
Jewish American.
Absolutely.
You understand that? Migration.
I can make the argument.
Issues she's talking about.
No, I can make the argument. Right. The argument would be.
If you don't understand it, then you don't understand what the fuck.
Oh my God. Let me make the argument.
But go ahead.
It'd be yes, all North Africans, and then she'd point to how the North African migrants to Germany have their rape rate is 18 times or whatever the fuck it is of the native born Germans and the systemic problems, blah blah blah, and the Germans were the Germans. Stop. Calm down. Stop being triggered so much. Let me just go through the argument. And the Germans, they're like this in their native land. These migrants have no right there. That their kids have no right there. I mean, it's like, there's something in here that actually reeks a little bit of blood and soil arguments, right? Yes. That this land is tied to the blood of people from back in the day, right? America is tied to the blood of. I'm guessing she doesn't believe the Native Americans that the white colonizers took it from, but I'm guessing the original tribes, the first ones that crossed the Bering Strait, I guess they have, we'll trace their genetic ancestry, and then they have first dibs on all of America. I think that this proposition is like inherently racist. I think it's inherently blood and soil. I think it implies that communities that have established themselves for long periods of time on these areas, have some obligation to leave or die. I mean, you look at the article; she's very like this part right here. Long live Hamas al-Aqsam brigades, men of honor and steel, who rise above the subterranean below with homemade weapons and unshakable faith to strike fear and fatal blows into the hearts of the Zionist enemy. Where it's like. This right here, end quote. This is like psychotic poetry. She's ranting.
It's not psychotic.
It is psychotic. Really psychotic. Yes, it is.
Really?
Yes, Hamas rising. Hamas, stop saying we. Stop saying we. This is insane. This is insane. Great. Bro, how can you possibly? How can you?
Because I said the word we. Don't say we. I don't say that.
Yo, chill
out. We know what we say we.
How the fuck can you consistently criticize the Jewish politicians in Israel that are advocating for removing every single Palestinian from Gaza and say this is genocide, this is genocidal talk, this is fucked up, whether they're advocating for ethnic cleansing or they're advocating for bombing it until they're all gone, etc. Like so this is just racial tribalism for you?
No, this is just,
I think you're.
Stop. Is this just racial tribalism?
No, it's not racial tribalism.
They did it to us, so we got to do it to them. Is that like
no? It's not racial
Crips and Bloods? Is that what's going on here?
As a Muslim, as a
religious tribalism if it's anything.
Fucking country. Wait, I've had to condemn terrorism or jihadism, and like all through the past 3 years, right? When this first happened,
collective guilt, you son of a bitch.
There was no problem asking the Arabs or the Muslims, do you condemn Hamas every 5 seconds? But you can't ask the Jews if they condemn Israel Israel, or you can't ask them to condemn Israel if you see Hamas doing terroristic actions.
I
But
don't
then
think
you
it was
turn around,
every
you see
Muslim being asked.
and you see
Wait,
this
hold on.
government.
Well,
It was
100%
everybody
that's
who wasn't
exactly
who
what
wasn't- who wasn't
And they
told
got
about it.
criticized, and you guys criticized the people who did
Exactly.
find a Muslim.
Yes,
Hold on.
no,
I
You
need
see
to.
Hamas doing terrorist actions.
Oh,
but then
oh,
right to the left of
sure.
them, you see a country doing the same
No.
actions, but there's no condemnation on those countries. I mean, I think there's an issue just
Okay.
because
No
they're Jewish.
condemnation.
I'm gonna throw myself in here.
Sorry, hold on, before you do, I just
Yep.
want to read this. The bits, right? It says from Latinx 100 bits says this is misleading. In September 2025, the UN Independent International Commission of Inquiry report concluded Israel is committing a genocide. Absolutely. Thank you very much for that. 100 bits, really, really kind. I was going to say to Bam before you dropped out again. I hope everything is okay. That I thank him for the super chat, not a super chat, gifting a sub. And then let me just read those super chats. I got so much to say to you guys, to people. Oh my God. But $5 from Horse God. Doobie, if the entire international community agreed on the genocide definition, would they then do anything against nuclear armed Israel to prevent it?
Yeah, I think so.
I mean, I think so too. I mean, like, you don't. It doesn't have to be invasion.
Yeah,
It can be
you
boycott,
just
divestment,
sanctions.
sanctions.
Why can't?
yeah,
But like,
boycott,
why
like,
shouldn't
yeah.
it be invasion then? Well, like,
I did.
Oh, they all-
I before that.
I thought they all had to go.
Yeah, before it.
Hold on, I before
Oh,
that. I
you
just think
before
there's no
a
harm in
full
that.
armed invasion of Israel?
that's why I asked. So like,
Yeah, hold on. Yeah, like I
why
said
not?
earlier, I think it's reasonable.
Corey's a good
They
guy's a good
conceded this
question.
before.
I think it'd be totally reasonable
yeah.
for outside forces to come in and provide security for the Palestinians.
wait, provides. Wait, no,
As
as in,
because
like,
wait, hold on, because
No,
we
that's
cannot
not
say
what's being
what it is.
advocated for, Doobie.
Listen, because we
Look
cannot-
up
because
Mott
we
and Bailey
cannot-
for me.
because we cannot.
No one's
press
using
Israel to do this.
use a word here.
No, I do.
No
think,
one's
like I
using
said, I
use
do,
of words here.
yeah, no, I do think that it would also be reasonable in the current context, right? We have a genocidal ethno state committing ethnic cleansing and genocide. Yeah, I totally think it's totally reasonable for a military to go in there and force them to stop. Right now, I understand. My issue is yes, they do have a nuclear weapon. I don't think they'd use it. I think that'd be
They
suicidal for them
stole
to use
from
it.
America.
Yeah, they stole from
because
us.
they're
Yeah,
not our
greatest
friends.
ally.
Yeah, yeah.
but
Stop
I don't
them
think they'd use
how?
it. But however, well, I was going to say, I think it would
already
be
said it.
reasonable if it were any other country to invade them to get them to stop, to force them to stop.
so
No, no,
um,
no, that's not what I'm asking.
Go to war.
That's not what I'm- that's not what I'm asking.
You
Let
know,
me-
quote
let me-
unquote
let me-
regime change. to
But
force
he's
them to
against
stop,
the
yeah.
Iran war.
This
So
is very, very
just go
straightforward.
in and just
If
fix
I
the
remember,
regime.
It's not
if I-
straightforward, Prime,
if-
because the article is
Wait, hold on, I
advocating
need to-
for every Jew
Yes.
needing to leave.
So-
Is he advocating
If I
for that?
remember-
Hey,
if I remember
hold on.
correctly,
No,
if I remember
correctly-
correctly-
okay.
Back to it. Don't mix that in. He asked a question. Corey asked a question, and he asked, like, would it be reasonable to invade? Right? We're answering that question, not about the article. Okay.
Yeah,
So
I'm not talking
for
about the
that
article.
question,
And I'm
it is
clarifying as well.
completely
Go
reasonable.
ahead and clarify, Corey.
It's completely reasonable to invade to stop a genocidal nation. Absolutely, 100%. Now, would that be complicated by the fact that we have a nuclear a device that they stole from us, right? Or nuclear technology that they stole from us? Yes, that would be complicated by it. But that's not the only way to do it, right? What Doobie is also saying, he's like, he understands that because he's not an idiot, and he's saying, yes, there's other ways to intervene here, right? Boycott, divestment, and sanction, which you mentioned before. This is something that we could apply, like the Israeli
Anti-Semitic, by the way.
project, right? Is actually very fragile and can collapse quite quickly if we apply the pressure, especially like what we did to South Africa. We can do it to Israel. But you're narrowing down to like, hey, what do you want to invade? Do you want to invade? No, we don't say that we necessarily want to invade. We're just saying that, but it would be reasonable to do so.
Hold on, can I ask Lacto a question? Because you were saying earlier, like, we're excusing the Palestinian mission, right? Her mission to like
This
retake
woman
the land
is.
for Palestinians, right?
Yeah.
But we think it's ethnic cleansing and genocide when the Israeli politicians advocate for the same thing or do the same thing. So I understand how it might look that way, but I think it looks that way to you because you were ignoring the fact that one of these groups is the occupied group and the other group is the other one is the occupier, right? So from her perspective, actually, just in reality, it is just true, right? So, for example, the West Bank, we have Israeli settlers there, hundreds of thousands of them. If all of them were to be forced to leave, yes, it would be ethnic cleansing. Yes, we'd be ethnically cleansing this group from the area. But the reality is, these people are occupiers. They are invaders that are occupying a land that is not theirs. Right.
I mean, we laugh and roll our eyes.
So
but-
I think
I do
think there's
Well,
a different,
because
I think
there's
absolutely
a little
is
bit of a straw
general.
man of my position.
Nah,
I'm saying that, like, you could there are Israeli politicians, I understand, that are like very expressly using genocidal rhetoric in the sense where it's like the ones who are saying, let's turn all of Gaza into a parking lot. All the people that are there, they can just get wiped out, kill them all, right? This is like very obviously genocidal language. The politicians who say like they all have to go, and if they don't go, which they're not all going to go, then let's just kill them all. This is also genocidal language for sure. I don't think that the people saying like, oh, strikes against.
Did she say kill all the Jews? I'm sorry, you keep saying that, but like I read the article.
Yes,
no. I'm asking you. Hold on. She didn't actually say that. Did she say that?
I'm going to go back to what I said. When you say, so I'm going to repeat. I made this point earlier. Maybe you didn't hear it. I very specifically said when you say like a very specific statement of, let me bring up the quote again. They all have to leave. Give me a second. I'll just read the quote and then you can draw your own.
You could just also read the title of the article, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, you could do that. Or I think that's fair as well. Okay. Genuine Jewish anti-Zionist unwavering support of the total eradication of Israel. Land back without a speck of Zionist or Euro-American imperial settler colonial control. Without a speck. Everybody has to go. This includes Jews supporting removing fellow Jews from Palestine, while ensuring they don't do harm wherever they go. And open reverent support for Palestine's armed resistance. Gaza's Mujahideen are at the heart of the struggle, spearheaded by Hamas's Al-Qassam brigades, who executed the miraculous Al-Aqsa flood on October 7th of 2023. You agree with me that October 7th, 2023 attack primarily killed civilians, right?
Okay, but
Only
again,
if you're.
I want to answer. I want to answer.
No. I'll deal with this from her perspective.
Only
I'm
Israeli has only killed civilians.
I'm listening to you. I'm not saying you are. I'm listening to you.
I'm
listening to you.
Great. All right.
Go ahead.
Sure. Yes, it killed civilians. I'm not sure if it was the majority of civilians, but let's just say that it was
Overwhelming majority.
I'm not fighting you on this.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm not, but in any case, right?
Yes.
The point is, even though it did that what the point was to strike back against Israel, not genocide all Jews. That wasn't the point, right? And saying
we're talking about the author's opinion here. You're missing the point. I'm saying when you look at the author's opinion, when you start,
I know.
When you start by saying all Jews have to go, and then you follow it up with the operation that was targeted to killing Jewish civilians.
It wasn't.
That was a great thing.
It wasn't targeted to killing
yes, it was.
It wasn't targeted. No, it wasn't.
It absolutely was. They were going in residential homes and shooting kids.
Because there were no soldiers there to defend. You know, the soldiers were on vacation for those 2 or 3 or 4, 8 or 10 hours.
No.
So they were targeting the children. They were targeting the civilians.
They weren't targeting the civilians.
Did they miss?
Right?
Were they living in a military installment?
There were multiple groups that went out, right? So there was brigades, but there were others when the walls went down. There were others that went out, and there were murdering individuals, right? There was lots of groups involved, and I'm saying the point of the mission. You're stating that because those civilians died, that ipso facto, that must mean the point was to slaughter the civilians. I'm saying it wasn't. That wasn't the point of the attack. Right?
How was that not the point?
That's the
they literally.
Hold on. And then he says that, and then he says, "Well, okay, now that you've linked these two, right? Now that you've linked,
they're obviously linked. They're in the same paragraph.
I listened to you. Don't worry. I know. I listened to you. Don't worry. I was paying attention. Yes. Now that you've linked these two things, that must mean what she is saying, that all the Jews must die if they don't.
If they don't leave,
she's saying, no. Okay. So let's apply this. Hold on. Let's apply this to the Trump administration, because the Trump administration says, like, oh, we want to get rid of the immigrants, right? We want to send them out. Hey, does that mean that the Trump administration wants to slaughter all the immigrants? Is that what you're saying? If the
overwhelming majority of the targets of ICE raids were killed, then yeah, you would have a good point. But that's not the case. It's like a tiny, tiny fraction of a percentage. In this case, it was the majority. The vast majority were civilians that were shot in the street and in their homes. Yes.
That doesn't matter. But that doesn't matter in terms of the larger project. What I'm saying is for the larger project she's talking about, it doesn't say she is not.
Yeah, I guess the larger project involved killing civilians, which is what the author's advocating for. The larger project is removing all the Jews. And hey, also, when they wiped out a bunch of civilians this time, that was a really good thing.
She's saying that for a
She called it miraculous.
revolutionary act.
Wait, she called
Yes,
it
hon,
the
hon.
most.
I don't necessarily agree
freaking
with the
because
author.
when
right?
she
Hon,
says
to be clear.
miraculous, you're seeing it from your perspective, in which it was like a brutal operation, like a genocidal act. The intention was to kill civilians. That is not her belief about the Al-Aqsa flood. Her belief is this was a mission to take hostages, to free the hostages that Israel has had in their detention centers. They've been raped, tortured, etc. for fucking years.
So they shot a bunch of them to take them hostage.
Hold on. Okay, again, lactoid. There were multiple groups that went in, right? And again, these people, they do not believe that Hamas went around killing civilians. In fact, there are videos, and I'm sure this is like propaganda or something, right? There are videos of Hamas commanders telling their soldiers, hey, treat them with respect. We're Muslims. Don't hurt them.
Testimonies from Israelis saying the exact same thing.
Hold on.
But,
Yeah,
and we know
So she just rejects that most civilians were killed?
And the IDF was shooting at the civilians. But you don't pay attention to any of that, Lactor. You just say a bunch of them died, and so the point of the mission must have been
shot
to kill
them
all.
No,
Who shot who? Who shot who?
You
have no idea.
I understand. No, I understand the point. I understand the point of confusion, and it's so frustrating because I'm trying to put into words to like get it across to you. Okay, she did not granularly specify only the members of Hamas Al-Aqsa brigades that specifically targeted the hostages, the ones that shot civilians, they were all wrong. That is not what she said. She called the operation was miraculous. The operation, October 7th was miraculous. No, I'm not missing the point. I promise I'm not missing the point. No, I can repeat your point back to you. Yeah. No, let me repeat your point back to you. Your point is when they went in there, it was not actually to target and kill civilians. It was to fight back against the colonial project that is Israel, that had for a long time been colonizing the West Bank and causing many other problems. And this was their way of fighting back. And their goal here was strategic. It was to like fight the state of Israel. It wasn't actually just to kill civilians. Is that your point?
It was to take hostages to free detainees.
Can you repeat my point now?
And there were many civilian deaths. Some of them, of course, were due to the Al-Aqsa brigades. So absolutely, no one is denying that here, right? But there were other groups that went out too. We've done as the world audience, right? We've done no work in trying to disambiguate what happened there, right? We just said, hey, they were all the same, right? She is doing that, right? Now you can disagree with her doing that, and that's fair. But
we're criticizing the article.
No, but hold on. You keep saying, okay, Lactoid, you keep saying from her perspective, the argument that she's trying to make, right? You keep saying that. Well, then from her perspective, like Gibby said, from her perspective, the Al-Aqsa brigades themselves, actually, the mission was to do X, right? Along with X, other people were involved, and the IDF murdered a shit ton of civilians. We know that.
Prime.
Right? We know that too. From her perspective, Lactoid, if you understand her perspective, then you know that's built into the conversation. So from her perspective, then what she's saying here is that there's this genocidal Israeli regime, right? And there's these individuals, like, to dismantle that, these Jews have to leave. Right? Mm-hmm. This is her words, right? Not mine. She's saying these people have to leave, right?
Yep.
And this was an example of making that happen. This brigade, right?
Yeah, it was an example.
You're smuggling a whole bunch of other stuff that's not in her argument every time you say that.
So, Prime, I repeated your argument back to you. Can you repeat mine? Can you characterize my argument? What do you think my argument is here? Because I fully understood what you said. And I repeated it back to you. And I'm telling you, and you respect, you think I'm a pretty smart guy. Sure. You know that I understand, and in fact, by the way, the position I'm taking is not incompatible with the idea that they had a broader strategic goal. Like, for example, you could have a broader strategic goal of removing all the Jews in order to make more room for Palestinians by killing them all, right?
Your point was, hey, she's linking multiple ideas within the same paragraph. Mm-hmm. She's linking multiple ideas. And the key point is linking the October 7th attacks, right? In which many Jews die, right?
With what?
So the implication, most Jews. Sorry.
No. So what is she linked? So she put in the top part of the paragraph, all the Jews need to go, and the state of Israel needs to go. Yes, and then the second, and then the second part of the paragraph, she's praising a explicit attack on Jewish civilians.
Attack where many civilians and most of the people involved were civilians who died, right? Yep. And so you're saying the implication is that, like, yes, either they leave, right, which is explicit, right, or they die, which is implicit because of the. Yes, I was listening to you. Of course, I was listening to you.
So that's like the obvious. Okay, maybe then I was misunderstood. If I was to tell you, let me use a different group. All black people need to go. Oh, and by the way, there was a glorious bombing of Black Wall Street, or a glorious,
massacre.
glorious Tulsa massacre.
All
Hail Derek Chauvin and the lynchings. All hail that, and all the black people need to go. I'm not necessarily saying
he was a good police officer.
Was there?
He did it. He killed one guy, but he also
have a
was a police
misunderstanding of
officer
the
for 20
Tulsa
years.
massacre? Was there another goal for that we
right? You're right. Okay, so this is what it hinges on. If this woman is genuinely just fucked in the head and just thinks that most of the people that were shot and killed and targeted by like the guns of the people that went in there to shoot them, if she thinks that most of them were military and like some minority of them were civilians, then I guess I sort of understand. Let me finish this sentence. Then it doesn't necessarily follow. But if she's it's assuming that she's insane. But if she's down in the real world with the rest of us, even the people who are against me on this panel, the vast majority of the people that were shot and killed were civilians.
Yeah,
that
that's
were
not
in
what
their
she was saying.
homes.
She was saying that there's a difference between the brigade that went in, and there were other groups. There were other groups that also went in with this brigade, right? So what she's saying is the operation of the Al-Aqsa flood was a specific thing, but then other groups also joined in on that operation. They committed the murder. Well, not they committed.
No, she's not saying that at all.
That's what Prime explained to you.
But that's
where
I'm
where is she saying that?
Oh my God, hold on, Lactoid, please help me here, right?
I'm trying to help you.
Could it be the case? Sure. Could it be the case, right, that like you are outside of this discourse, right, and so you don't understand the implicit the implicit implications, right? Like now that doesn't we'll leave it there. Yeah, that
you don't have enough political conversations, Lactoid.
No. I'm not trying. I am not being condescending here. I'm saying that like there is shorthands, right? I know these groups because I've talked to these people. Right, who speak exactly the way she does, right? And this is what they believe. That's what I'm telling you. I understand that you don't know that. And that's okay, right? You aren't part of those conversations, and so this wouldn't be a part of it. I literally had a conversation. People like thought I mentioned the words right, Hamas terrorist, right? I was talking to lefties like this, right? I mentioned the words Hamas terrorist. They jumped on me. It's like, how could you call Hamas terrorist, right? But I did that within the context of like a quote from the IDF. Like the IDF calls them Hamas terrorists. But just me saying those words, right? They jumped on me. Prime, do you hate the Palestinian resistance, right? That's a conversation that I had. Like, if you didn't know that they thought that way, you wouldn't have seen that coming because you're not privy to those conversations. So, right, when she's talking about the Al-Aqsa flood, like the implicit description, and you could say that you can fault her for this. I think it's fair to fault her for this, right? It's implicit in that Al-Aqsa, the point was to strike back against the larger Israeli project to take the hostages, not necessarily to slaughter civilians, because that's what they do within their circles. Could that be the case? Could it be the case that you're missing something that because you're not part of that discourse? Is that a possibility?
No. Yeah, why are we steel manning Hamas? What the fuck?
No, sorry. Yeah, hold on. In any sentence, this is always a possibility. Okay. I could say all black people need to, TOS, and then you could say, wow, Lactoid, that's kind of fucked up, and then I could say, well, hold on, Prime. Okay, in my circles in which we have these conversations, by that, what we really mean is that like food stamps are a little bit too much, and like we got to like cut down a little bit on crime, and it's like that's what I'm saying, right?
I hear you, and I'm saying that's a fair criticism, right, in of itself. But you're telling me, hey, what her argument is, right? And I'm trying to push back on you. What it seems her argument is from a person who's more familiar with this discourse. That's what I'm saying. Now that doesn't mean that she got her point off correctly, and maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I am wrong, and maybe you're completely right? And that's a possibility as well. But I'm saying, the point you're saying, hey, from her perspective, her argument without actually examining what the discourse is within those circles. That's what I'm saying.
And I'll say this. And as somebody who was asked to be on a panel and discuss this, I should not be expected to go back and read every single one of these person's writings to know for sure what exactly they're meaning. What I'm doing is I'm reading in the manner most obvious. I'm reading her writings and what they mean very clearly. according to my reading. Right now, you're right. I could be totally off. Anybody could be totally off in any of the articles that any of us are reading. And sure, if you have some specific evidence that actually this author meant something completely different when she was talking about the miraculous Al-Aqsa flood, and then she actually thinks blah, 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 and there's totally something different. Okay, I can be moved. What I'm saying is that based on the information I have access to now, this comes across to most likely explicit genocidal or implicit genocidal language.
Okay, then I'll leave it there. Let's go to our friend Connor. And we have a bunch of super chats afterwards. We're going to get those super chats. Go ahead, Connor.
So I think we might be missing the thrust that I was actually excited to talk to Doobie about, because I'm a capital L liberal. I believe in maximal human freedom. I don't like ethno-religious laws that discriminate against people. So for instance, I think Israel writing a capital punishment law where if you engage in terrorism as a Palestinian, you get executed, but they don't have a similar law for Jews, and that's not a universal law. I think that's bad. That's condemnable. Same thing with annexing southern Lebanon. Listen, I'm a tepid Zionist. I wish I could sweep for Israel right now. There's no capacity to say, hey, just annexing up to the Litani River and displacing 600,000 people is totally cool. Like, there's no way to steelman that. But what I want to point out, because Doobie said an interesting statement that I actually objected to during the original thing, is that this is the lowest moral point in Jewish history. And I think that's really fucking funny. And the reason why it's funny is because Jewish history is the story of Abraham, who was promised this territory. It's the story of Moses, who led an exodus of the Jews into the lands of Canaan. It's the story of the Battle of Jericho and the conquest of Canaan. It's the story of King David, who not only killed Goliath, he also ran around fucking in that territory, killing Philistines. And do you know what he paid in order to marry his wife? 200 dick skins. He killed 200 Philistines, chopped off their dick skins, and paid that as a bride price. And then after that, he ordered his general, one of his generals, into battle repeatedly because he wanted to fuck his general's wife. And so he got his general friend killed so he could fuck his wife. So I know that that's 3,000 years ago or 2,000 years ago. So I get that, like, it's ancient history. But the whole reason why we're fighting over this territory in the first place was because God, 3,200 years ago, allegedly promised it to a certain people. Half of the people no longer believe in that mythology anymore. They just want a safe place to exist. And then half of the people kind of believe that mythology. So, and then also the people they're fighting believe a separate mythology. So the reason why I bring all that shit up is, number one, if you think this is the lowest point in Jewish moral history, you're fucking crazy. Go read what Samuel had to say about the Amalekites. It makes what's happening in Palestine look chill by fucking comparison. That's what they killed the men, the women, the children, and the fucking livestock. Okay. Then on top of that, what I would say is that's not the most interesting point of the conversation. It's not whether or not Israel's bad. Who gives a fuck? Okay. The most interesting point of the conversation is, how do we hold people collectively responsible for the guilt of their ethno-religious identity or racial identity or linguistic identity? And then how do we come up with a rule that doesn't suck? Because right now, if I hold anti-Zionist Jews accountable for the sins of Israel, then, lots of spicy shit starts getting justifiable.
But I mean, like, we've been doing this with other groups. I don't understand why when it gets to all of a sudden the Jews in Israel, we stop doing this to other groups.
Sure, well, hold on. But Ali, real quick, just because I've been waiting patiently for a few minutes, and I promise I'll shut up for an extended period of time. But Ali, when we come to you, we don't say like, Ali, you, the Lebanese immigrant into fucking America, are personally responsible for jihadist terrorism. So what we say is, as a group, hey, if you see some wild shit being said in your community, then you should probably call it out. That's what she's advocating for. That's not what she's saying.
Call it out. That is absolutely what she's saying.
Doobie, I read the article. In the article, she said this is where Lactoid is totally correct. In the article, she says, if you don't praise Hamas, you are not a good anti-Zionist. And I think that this is identical to what Lactoid was saying. Hold on, I'm almost done, I promise. It's identical to what Lactoid was saying, which is like walking up to a black person and saying, hey, your community's responsible for disproportionate criminality. Derek Chauvin was an American hero. And if you don't praise Derek Chauvin for laying his life on the line as a police officer, then you're a fucking piece of shit. And you're not serious about solving criminality in the Black community.
But you
it's
have to see
almost
it,
analogous.
Hold on,
but you have to see
okay,
it from his perspective, and from his
People do say
perspective,
that, though.
he
That is
sees
kind
it
of a common
as
conversation.
In these Blue
really
Lives
an
Matter circles, it's very
inflammation.
different.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's what really he means is just
Yeah, I can. Okay, I'm gonna respond. So first off, Connor, to be clear, I don't believe that this is like the lowest point morally for Jews. I'm saying that this is what she's like. She references like their ancestors who fought fascism, for example. And so she's referencing Jewish people in the past who fought fascism, fought exactly this kind of colonial project. And she's saying that basically the argument is that they've abandoned that fight and they become the colonial project. Right? That is what she's saying. She's not saying it's the worst Jews have ever been morally. She's not saying that. She's saying that there was a spirit of anti-fascism within Judaism, anti-colonialism within the Jewish community, and they have abandoned this from her perspective. So I think that's what she's saying. But to you, I think so. I think we see this all the time, right? With Muslims, for example. So post 9/11, if you were a Muslim and you didn't immediately condemn Osama bin Laden, ignore all the reasons he gave for this terrorist act, right? Ignore all the hundreds of thousands of people that died, that led to him responding in this way, and groups forming to respond to us in this way. If you don't condemn them all, fuck their causes, fuck their reasoning, then you're not doing enough to fight like a jihadism in the Muslim community. You need to condemn all that. Fuck the context. Fuck what we did to them. History starts from 9/11, moves forward. All that came before is irrelevant. That's essentially
who were the hundreds
what
of
was done to
thousands of Muslims who got killed prior to 9/11 2001.
So he references not just
Sabra and Shatila massacre, which was around 3,000 people.
Yes.
Yeah, there was
but he also references
Nakba,
he also references the sanctions, right, that we place on
in Iraq. Okay. And he says it's around 300,000 dead Iraqis. Okay.
Well,
that's
I think
fair.
the actual number was around 2 million. That could be attributed to it, like 500,000 Iraqi children, something like this, right? And he mentions that specifically in one of his letters to America, right? So.
Sure.
But at the time, if you're a Muslim and you dare to speak about this, right? Even today, if you dare to speak about this and say, hey, actually, maybe we did something that led them to react in this way. Maybe we should stop doing those evil things.
Anti-American.
Well, I'm a terrorist sympathizer. I'm anti-American. I just hate America, right? Like so. This kind of thinking has been applied to Muslims and to people who are like anti-imperialists in general. So I don't understand why would it have a different standard for Jewish people.
right.
Yeah, but
do we?
Has there been a conversation, at least? Maybe you have had these conversations. I'm sure you've had these conversations with Admiral Gibbs. But like, did Admiral Gibbs ever go like, if you don't like George W. Bush as a Muslim, then you're a traitor to America? Like, has that conversation happened? I mean, maybe with Gibbs, it actually did happen. I don't know.
I don't remember.
Gibbs is a big fan of you, by the way.
That.
Yeah, Gibbs
I fucking hate that motherfucker so goddamn much. Holy shit!
I see you, Hunter. We're gonna
He's a good guy.
let me.
He's not a good guy.
I'll be quiet for a minute.
and then let's go to Hunter. Okay. All right. So okay. I think we haven't done this one. From Bell Runner, $10. Thank you so much, Bell Runner, for the kindness. Do you refuses to answer this? Is it true you believe that solution is to re-educate Palestinians, disarm Israel, and force it with outside power and expel expatriates? Maybe.
Expect.
Oh,
I don't know what expect means.
Yeah, so
Israel to
fellow
absorb
runner,
all mortal
He meant to
danger.
say expect.
yeah,
Like,
I mean,
and you expect
Expect.
Israel to absorb
So-
all moral danger during.
So Fellrunner really only cares about Jewish lives in this conflict. So the idea that Israel would need to put up with a reduction in security in some way, they couldn't have the IDF with their boot on people's throats in the West Bank or Gaza. That idea to him is anathema, right? Because from his perspective, the Palestinians should need to handle the mortal danger. They should need to lose all the children and all the lives. But the Jews, the Israelis, actually, with him, I'm going to say the Jews, because he really only cares that they're Jewish. They can't be expected to shoulder any of the burden, right, to end the conflict. I think he's just a Jewish supremacist retard. However, that being said, yes. So that is an oversimplification, right? But I do think that both sides need to be re-educated. I think both sides dehumanize each other consistently. I think this is due to trauma. I think both sides have been traumatizing each other for a very long time. There are legitimate grievances on both sides, obviously. And I think that the only way to undo that is you need both sides to be forced to come down from their fucking hills, right? And I don't trust the United States to do this. Israel cannot do it on its own because everybody in Israel is traumatized. The Palestinians, everybody in Palestine is fucking traumatized. So I think you need outside forces to come in, force them to put the weapons down, and go through like a very long fucking process of de-radicalization on both sides, not just the Palestinians. If you want to call that re-education, sure. But also something like the truth and reconciliation process that went through in South Africa, to undo the harm, right? To unwind things. I think it's totally necessary. And I do think that outside forces need to come in and provide security for both sides, right? To ensure that people on either side don't fuck things up.
Thalvine, even though I'm sure you disagree with me, I appreciate the $10. Hopefully you don't regret sending that in, but I appreciate you. Let's go to Ginger Miss Prime. The irony being, ultra-Zionists make the same argument as the other side. We're the indigenous people who are displaced and seek to return home. Yeah, but they're fucking wrong, though. So it is what it is. They just happen to be wrong.
How are they wrong?
But $5.
Because there are already people living there. You don't find your home where other
they
people
were there
are.
first, though.
People who were already living there
3,000 years ago. The Native Americans were here first.
Yeah, land back.
That's your argument.
That's your argument.
No, it isn't my. No,
This is this person's argument at the very least.
No. My argument is that 80 years ago there were people living on the land, and then they came and took over the land, claiming, "Oh, this was our land 3,000 years ago."
How do you think Palestinians got there?
Yeah, how did that entire territory become Muslim?
You know, you know that like the Jews.
The Jews were originally there.
This new group of people.
They didn't spring out of the ground.
How did that area become Muslim
Some
again?
people just converted into Christianity. Some people denounced
Ali,
Judaism. And
how did those people become Muslim?
Wasn't super peaceful.
Yeah, and they were
how
all
did those people become Muslim again?
And it was all bad.
There was conquering. Yeah, this was conquering.
Yeah, so we just need land back. We just need land back.
Oh my God! Wait, so Hamas isn't a terror group, right? So Hamas isn't a terror group because
we got the Native Americans get their shit back. The Jews get their shit back.
So we can engage. We can engage in barbaric warfare since might makes right in all of our conversations. Then Hamas isn't a terrorist group. Hezbollah isn't a terrorist group.
What?
We're like that's a conversation we're having, right?
Oh, right now you're totally dodging the point we're making.
What does that have to do with what we're saying?
You guys are saying that Israel conquered, right? And now it's their land, and now the Palestinians are saying they want their land back.
No, we're saying that's your argument to the.
Hold on, even by that logic,
first principles, and then take the logic. That really means that Israel gets a right to their land too.
Why?
That Native Americans get a right to
because
their land too.
I never said actually give Native Americans their land back. I'm saying you guys agree with giving Native Americans their land back, since you guys agree with giving Israel their land that was promised to them 3,000 years ago.
I don't.
So then we're not.
Wait, hold on. But even if we apply this logic, Ali, even if we apply this logic, they're kicking Arab Muslim fucking ass right now. So regardless of whether or not you say land back, the Jews could say land back for 3,200 years ago. And then if you say fuck land back, nobody likes land back. And we could just say they're kicking your ass now. So sucks to suck. Like, dude, no matter what, the Jews have an argument.
No, they don't.
The argument might make sense.
I mean, literally, I just explained how there's two arguments and they have both of them simultaneously.
Nazis, I guess Nazis did have
the Holocaust. It was legal for them to do the Holocaust because they own that territory. So fuck them, right?
Yeah.
Wait. Sorry, say that again because that might actually be funny to
explore.
explore.
During the Holocaust, it was totally
What's that?
fine because when the Nazis were doing the Holocaust, it was totally fine because it was legal for them to do the Holocaust. So they owned that territory. They conquered that territory. So we really have nothing. We can't say anything about it, right?
No, because they came and kicked our dicks in, the United Kingdom and Russia, and then Russia and the fucking United Kingdom and the Allies went in and kicked their dicks in. By right of conquest, Germany had to fucking, they had to get fucked.
You think that's totally fine, right? Because Germany, they won. The Nazis were winning.
No, they clearly didn't because they got their shit pushed in. What the fuck are we talking about?
At the time. They were winning at the time. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, at the time.
Okay.
Hold on. Okay. Murder camps.
To be clear, I'm like mostly memeing and none of this is okay. But what I'm trying to point out is that the Jews claim this territory because they conquered it 3,200 years ago. Ali is saying there were people 80 years ago prior to the new, or 150 years ago, prior to the new settlement of Jews. But then what I think Lactoid and I were kind of meaning on is the fact that like they didn't fall out of a coconut tree. You know, they conquered that territory as well. And
That's not true,
arguably, why Ali said, oh, well, I might be slightly Jewish, is because he could be part of the Jewish population that was conquered and then partially forced to convert. So pretending that this has just been like, oh, the Muslims were just in there fucking singing Kumbaya, drinking fucking coconuts and eating olives for the past 3,000 years is bullshit.
No one said that.
No.
You said they were already there. Your arguments is that 3,000 years ago, or over the thousands of years, that conquering and might makes right was the way of the land. I'm arguing that in the over the 100 years, we kind of stopped doing that shit, except for this one country. Right when it
that's true.
Israel,
that's just descriptively
true. Israel conquering new lands, kicking people out, ethnic cleansing, perceived genocide. That's okay within the past 100 years for Israel specifically, but for everyone else, it's not okay. But you guys want to link back to the Muslims took over the land and blah blah blah.
But here's the thing, Ali. Here's the thing. You guys try to kick their ass in 56, 67. 73, 2005, you lost every single fucking time. So at what point do you just go, well, I guess we're not good at winning this war, so fuck it.
Yes,
Connor, that's ridiculous, right? So
I don't.
Wait, no, hold on. It was literally like 6 different nations every single time, including Lebanon, and he's Lebanese. Why is that ridiculous?
If we were to apply the standard, if we were to apply the standard to Jews, like, what's that saying? You know, if your friend gets kicked out of 109 bars, eventually it's his fault. Like I said, at some point, he's the asshole.
Back in 6,
at some point, he's the asshole, right? So if we apply the standard, we say, oh well, hey, well maybe Jews are just bad. You know, maybe they're just evil, and that's why they get kicked out all the time. Like obviously, that's
they're just evil.
So why don't you give them a small piece of land and leave them the fuck alone?
Can I? I just want to make it.
Okay.
I think Hunter's evil. I don't think all Jews are evil though.
I just want to get to the super chats real quick, right? And our friend Hunter has been waiting. He does want to say something, so I want to get a Hunter. I want to get Lactoid, and anyone else wants to jump in. Okay, so $20 to Grassroots. Thank you so much again. At a certain point, I don't actually care. Habe,
have you?
Sorry, thank you. Have you considered conducting and winning a war without brutalizing, essaying a bunch of teenagers?
I agree. You should stop doing that.
Yeah, the Israel should stop doing that. I mean, I agree 100%. But they won't stop. They never stop.
The standard only applies one way. The standard only applies one way. Only Hamas does this.
No, it applies both ways. I think both should stop.
So then how come? Hold on. This never gets mentioned that the Israelis do the same thing. That the IDF does the same thing.
You've been on TikTok in the past 3 years. That was pretty much all of TikTok.
What the fuck are you talking about? We don't talk about Israel's war crimes.
It never gets mentioned.
Like literally.
We don't talk about it, I guess.
Not in any meaningful way.
Hold on.
I would compared to Hamas.
I think it's true.
I'd cause a holy war. I would agree that everyone should not rape and brutalize teenagers.
Thank you.
Hold on, but I think what Ali's saying.
I agree. I appreciate that.
I think what Ali is saying isn't that it's never spoken about, but that it is only spoken about because anti-Zionists like myself and like him and like Prime, we talk about it. But the Zionist side, the pro-ethno-state side, like Connor, they regularly
make light of all of Israel's
downplay the evil, excuse it, downplay all the atrocities. That's what they do, right? So what we're pointing out is, hey, you guys have I'm not going to say all of you, right? But people on the Zionist side, you people on the Zionist side tend to downplay all of this when Israel does it, but hyperfixate on when it happens within the context of like Hamas or something.
Can I tell you why, though?
To be fair, Connor,
it is my turn.
I wanted the same to be applied across the board, like you guys do apparently.
And it's my turn next.
So,
sure. I want to.
Can I be added to the list?
You're on the list, so we're gonna Hunter.
I'm going before Connor.
Lactoid, and then we're going to do a Connor, right? The full white man circle. All right.
Hell yeah.
Then we'll end it with the Arab.
Well, and the Arab. Well, that's fine.
According to the census, you're also white.
Yeah, I mean, listen, we fought hard for that.
Yeah, exactly. The census describes.
Congratulations.
Okay, fine. You don't have to go back there. So, Fashion 40 says secular talks for the win, $5. I don't know why, but I do like Kyle Kalinske. I don't know. Did someone mention him before?
No, but you know, he's been in the sphere again lately.
Oh, okay. Well, shout out to
my boy Hassan.
Yeah. Oh, he usually fights the good fight, so I like him. So shout out to him. $5 from Grassroots Hegemon, who's been helping out a lot. Thank you so much, Grassroots. So the difference is you don't have a choice. You pick the fight. Now win it and accept the consequences. But could you tell me which perspective you're saying this from? Because I can read it.
Isn't that funny?
He's a
You can't
Zionist.
tell?
Well, hold on. Well, he's a Zionist, right? So from their perspective, it's totally the Palestinians should just take the boot and shut the fuck up. And if they don't take the boot, then they're fighting, right? And that's bad.
Okay.
If you pick a fight,
let's go to thank you Turing Giuliano, sorry, for gifting counterpoints a membership. Enjoy your benefits. They aren't really benefits, but like thank you for counterpoints. Thank you for the kind gift, 2 counterpoints. And then finally, there are genetic studies that link Euro Jews to the Levant. Prime and Co. are on the anti-vax levels of anti-science cope. That Eurojuice Levant, I never said that they didn't. Yeah, sure. Did I deny that? I don't remember saying that.
No.
I don't remember saying that at all. But thank you, Ginger Remus Prime for the $5, I guess, Australian. Yeah, I think we were talking about is like the ultra-Zionist, right? That they have a claim. Right, I say fuck their claim because of how they they didn't try to integrate. Right, there was an attempt at the very start, right, of the Zionist project to integrate with the society. Right, that was great. I wanted more of that. Great, and there was welcome that was extended towards them. Right, but then the mass slaughter, the expelling. Right, at that point, I say fuck your claim. But they're absolutely right. There are Jews that came from Levant, whatever, right? Fuck them. Anyway, let's go to our friend Hunter.
Cool. I want to say one quick point, and then I'll go to my main point. Quick point. Doobie said that Connor just keeps erasing all of the crimes that Israel committed. I just want to be clear that Connor started the conversation by offering the issues that he had with Israel that no one had mentioned. The annexations, I can't remember other things that he said, but he talked about the bad things that he did that no one else was talking about on the panel. So it feels very weird to pin him in this corner. But I'll go to my main point, which is, look, to Ali, I will 100% concede that there were small little Muslim kids in elementary school who, shoes were thrown at him. In 2004, tell me how you feel about Iraq, right? Tell me how you feel about Afghanistan, 9/11, whatever. Like they're thrown in these corners, and you know what? Maybe they have complex feelings about it, especially in the 2004 when they're going so hard against Muslims. They're starting a war that really Al Qaeda is not involved in. It's a really complex situation, and they're suddenly pivoted in this corner. 100%, I agree that this sort of rhetoric was happening in 2004. I'll concede all that. Mm-hmm. But wasn't that bad? Wasn't that not good that Muslim kid was forced to make a really snippy, trite comment about a war just so he could appease his classmates? And the idea that they saw him as somehow responsible for what, a bunch of people in a country he's never visited in that he's a part of. Why is he suddenly responsible for that? And then you're using that as ammunition to target that other people. And I'm just saying, can't we just drop the guns? Can't we just say stop? Maybe actually no one should take responsibility for it, because it feels like you're just maybe frustrated with what happened in 2004.
I think there's a difference though.
Yeah.
So the difference is that I'm born Muslim and I'm just existing. And then there's this attack being put on me versus the Zionism thing is an active choice, right? There are things
I'm born Jewish.
Yeah, but are you
Jewish
the question becomes, are you a Zionist?
That,
right?
Hold on. I am born Jewish. I'm ethnically Jewish.
Yes. Are you now Zionism?
Jewish and Zionism.
Zionism is a chosen ideology, right?
Wait, hold on. Right? The article is yes all Jews, not yes all Zionists.
I understand. Why does it say yes all Jews? You understand the context of why it says yes all Jews.
Something percentage Jews are Zionists.
Every time you make an argument against Zionism, it goes 98% of. Well, then at that point, then I guess all Jews. I don't know what you want me to do. If the Jews themselves are collectively for joining this ideology, right? There's being a Muslim, then there's being an Islamist, right? if you hold Islamists accountable, right? If you choose this thing, you're choosing the ideology. You're choosing to be a jihadist.
Okay,
versus
so
you're not just choosing to be a Muslim.
Gotcha. So you think that it's good for like a 12-year-old in 2004 to get harassed and asked, "Do you stand by Islamism?"
I don't think this applies to 12-year-olds.
radical...
I don't think this article is necessarily talking to like 12-year-olds or people who don't necessarily make their own decisions.
All Jews.
Yeah, okay, all Jews. But we're not talking about children, right? Obviously, we're talking about adults.
I don't know what we're not talking
He invokes children in the article of like how children in Israel are like raised to be Zionists. So I
that's a critique of the parents. That's a critique of the parents who are raising their children in
I know it's a critique of them, but it's still the kids who are responsible for what's going on.
Not a speck is what the article says. I'm pretty sure that includes the children.
Not a speck of Zionism.
And Bailey, where we look at the article and we pretend like that's not what they're advocating for, is bullshit.
Hold on, can I respond to this because it's silly? So I like Hunter. I agree, right? But I also don't think that this really works with Islam, right, or with Muslims. So because we don't have any polls that I'm aware of, I say like 95% of Muslims support 9/11 or something like this, or support jihadism, or support whatever, support like whatever, right? They're opposed about specific. So they're opposed about specific Muslim communities, right? Like in like Indonesia, for example. Like a lot of people. This is just like a side comment. A lot of people talk about like the Middle East as being like that's where all the Muslims are. But actually, most of them are like in Asia, right? like places like Indonesia. But they're opposed about those specific groups, and a lot of them do favor like apostasy laws and whatnot, right? That's true, absolutely. So if you were talking about that, like one of those communities, and you said, hey, if you're a Muslim in Indonesia, it is your responsibility to call out this kind of thinking within your community, right? To call out people who support suicide attacks, for example, right? So there are Muslims in there who support suicide attacks, or attitudes that are like negative about women or whatever the fuck. I think it's totally reasonable. The difference here with Zionism is that the polls that we have aren't talking about like a specific Jewish community in the United States. It's all Jews on the planet,
awesome.
Like 90 something.
Great.
Well, hold on. To be clear, I want to be very clear though. Hold on, I want to be very clear because I think the numbers actually decreased recently. So it used to be like 95% of Jews are Zionists, right? Mm-hmm. Like identified as like Zionists or believed in the existence of a Jewish state or supported the existence of a Jewish state, which is I think what most people would call Zionists. Of course, there are like different levels on the spectrum of Zionists, right? That doesn't mean they're all like in favor of ethnically cleansing Palestinians, whatever. Now today, I think it's actually been reduced, and I think it's a result of obviously what Israel's been up to. So they're God.
Okay, sorry. Okay, question. What is the demarcation? Like, would you say that 75%, if 75% of Jews still supported Israel, this is still a fair article?
Yes.
Great. Now, okay, perfect. Thank you.
Hold on. God.
Okay. That was a little bit of a 75% was a specific number I chose, mostly because 75% of Muslims in 2004 did not support the Iraq war. So is it fair to harass a Muslim teenager for the Iraq war, throw a little shoe at him and say, yo, well, how do you feel about the Iraq war? And he has to timidly figure out the nuance in front of his classmates. Because how is that not
you shouldn't attack kids? Can we talk about adults now?
Hold on. So I think that's a correct position. But also wouldn't say.
Oh, okay.
I'm trying to focus on kids because if the
did all Qassam differentiate between kids and adults?
Okay, well then now we could have a different conversation.
Okay, so to be clear, I think that's the correct position, right? Like not supporting the Iraq war, but at the time, vast swaths of the country were also opposed to the Iraq war, right? So but if you were going to talk to specifically a Muslim kid and ignore all the Democrats or liberals in the school that also didn't support this thing,
right?
Then yeah, it might make sense to assume that he didn't support the Iraq war, right? If he was politically aware at all as a kid.
Do you think it's fair to harass him and ask him, how do you feel about the Iraq war when all he is Muslim? That's it. That's the only information you know about him.
I think it'd be fair to assume that he does not support it. Absolutely. Now, but about harassing him? No, hold on. No, about
so what are we advocating for
really
then?
Quick. Well, what she's advocating for in the artitle isn't for harassing Jews. It's not for harassing Jews,
but to hold them accountable. So what does that mean?
No, it's for Jews to change their minds.
Wait one second.
The point of the article.
This article is directed at Jews, the Jewish community themselves. So it's not at other people saying, "Hey, you guys need to harass Jews or be mad at them or whatever." It's Jews, us, critique. Jews. Yeah, it's Jews. She says explicitly, "I'm talking to Jews now," right? So she's
there's no prescription of external responsibility.
No, listen. No, she's talking to Jews.
She's
That's the
talking to
point of the
Jews this
article.
entire time.
So,
Maybe you
what
should have
she
read the
says-
article.
Okay,
but she's
so-
talking
what
to
she says,
Jews the
Hunter, real
entire
quick.
time.
And
So
what
why-
she says explicitly, what the prescription, right?
Why don't you
so-
hang this in a synagogue?
Oh,
Why is
God.
she publishing
Listen.
this on the internet?
She's
She
saying
should've.
it should be hung in a synagogue.
Yeah.
In it,
So-
she's talking
so what
about
she's saying-
that. Actually, you should be having this conversation. Sorry, go, Dibby.
So what she's saying is that it's the responsibility of Jews within her community, right, to call out this ideology because she sees Zionism, she lays it out as a fascistic, basically evil ideology that has infected every aspect of the Jewish community, all Jewish institutions.
Mm-hmm.
Parents are sending their children off to Israel for summer camp or to Zionist camps where they're taught to be Zionists, right? And from her perspective, this is like the Hitler Youth, right? This is like Germans sending their children off to the Hitler Youth. And her issue is that it's been totally normalized within their community. This is just what you do, right? You send your kid off to the summer camp where they learn to be a Zionist and to love Israel, right? So she's saying, hey, it's been normalized in our community to be Hitler Youth enjoyers. So we need to cut this out. We like actually separate Zionism from Judaism, not just in like in theory, right? Not just in the fact that like Zionism is an ideology, Judaism is like an identity, like an ethnic identity or whatever, but like in actual reality, we need to separate this ideology from our community.
Just to be super clear, that's not what the article advocates for. It specifically says that we should wait. Hold on, could I read this? The day one Jew, and we really mean just one Jew, shuts their mouth and carries arm against Zionism to liberate Judaism or to defend those oppressed in their name, we will then differentiate between Zionism and Judaism. In the meanwhile, and for the past 100 years, there is no difference. There is no difference between Judaism and Zionism. That's what this article says.
Yeah.
Okay,
They don't separate themselves.
Sorry, go ahead. You go first.
Yeah. So what
Sure,
she's
but that's
arguing, okay, but hold on, you need to read the article because
I did. Wait, hold on. I have. I know
Okay,
that
cool.
I started
Okay,
this.
yeah, you said earlier you skimmed it. So yeah,
I know.
I think you read it.
I read it while
trust you.
everyone's doing their openings.
I trust it. So what she's saying, my understanding, and I've read it a few times now, my understanding is that she's
He's
saying
got the one up
that,
on you.
that yeah, I got the one up on you. 'cause I read multiple times. My understanding is that what she's saying is that what's the word I'm looking for?
They're using it's an excuse, right? That they're saying that like that Zionism is separate from Judaism, but it seems like it's one-to-one. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. So she's saying that, hey, we claim like anti-Zionist Jews will say, hey, Zionists isn't Judaism. And this is true. Like I say this all the time when people bring up, oh, you hate Zionism, so you hate Jews. It's true, right? These are separate things. What she's saying is that within her community, they're treated as the same thing, right? That Zionism equals Judaism. You're a bad Jew unless you're a Zionist, right? So what she's saying is that she wants to cut this ideology out of her community, and that requires treating all Jews like they're Zionists unless they're as anti-Zionist as she is, right? Which I
supporting
Hamas. It's extreme.
We got to move.
To be clear, I think it's extreme, but that's what she's saying.
We got to go to Lactro. We got to go to Connor. We're going to go to Ali and then Doobie. Yeah. So okay, and I just want to say something real quick. One, there's a super chat, so I'll say that real quick. Grassroots Hegemon Connor makes Kalinda Ahmad
Make
Kalinda Ahmad.
I will.
No, don't do that. Kalinda's
tomorrow.
She's awful.
She seems like a nice person, but she's a dumb. I'm sorry.
I don't know about
Belinda has the exact same version of historical autism that I do.
And she still lost Lactoid.
Wasn't that the person that Lactoid debated?
Thank you, Grassroots.
I watched that today, by the way.
$5.
Watch
but
it.
in any case,
Yeah.
cancer's a debate. In any case, just quickly, like we keep like equivocating these things, and I think Doobie was doing a fine job of like breaking down why this doesn't make sense, but like equivocating, hey, like people like harassing Muslims after 9/11 with like Zionism and Jews confronting that, right? These aren't the same thing. One, the article, as far as I know, isn't saying outside people, like the external forces, should be harassing Jews. I didn't see that within the article. Maybe I missed it. I might have missed it. If I did, I apologize. But the article didn't say that. But the article is talking about how, yes, like Jews are actively, right, Jewish Americans, are actively supporting this project, right? And that's okay then to say that the people who are actively supporting the project might actually have some responsibility towards it, right? That should be fair. I don't know why we're pretending otherwise. It wasn't the case for Muslim Americans. Most of them weren't supporting Al Qaeda, right? They didn't support Al Qaeda. They didn't support ISIS. They didn't support any of that nonsense, right? They had so much trouble fighting people that the FBI had to entrap Muslim kids when they invaded those mosques, right? When they were spying those mosques to try to find someone to call a terrorist, right? That's how little support they had in America. That's not the case.
Get the fuck out of here, bro.
No, we'll talk.
Get the fuck out of here. I could literally go to Pew Research polls right now, polling for Al Qaeda, for ISIS, for suicide bombing against civilian centers. That's horse shit. And on top of that, pretending that jihadist terrorism wasn't a thing in the thousands and the tens is total fucking.
I didn't say that it wasn't.
That's a total rewriting of fucking history.
Said that it wasn't.
The FBI had to go and trap Muslim kids in order to find jihadists.
I never said that.
Horse pussy.
That in my mouth. That was
horse
I never said any of that. Good thing. Because
you did say that the FBI had to go harass Muslim teenagers in order to find terrorists. You just said that.
The support is hold on. It was okay. Well, tell me with these polls. Will they tell me that the polls of support for Al Qaeda did that equal the support of Zionism? Did it? For among Jewish Americans.
No, but it's still like 20 or 30%. It's still 30%.
20 or 30 compared to 95. 30 compared to 95, right? 30 compared to 95, right?
Okay, so it didn't, right? And then, sorry, I'll leave that on. Sorry, we can have a conversation about that later.
Wait. So, do you support the existence of a Jewish state is equivalent to do you support suicide bombing civilians?
Yeah, they're the same thing.
Yes.
Same thing.
No, that's cringe and gay and fucking lame. I'll let you proceed.
You have to necessitate
retarded. That was retarded.
Also, the equivalence is if they're polling within Palestine, right? Because the U.S. was actively attacked.
The Jewish state, exactly. Actually, this matters. This actually fucking matters because the Jewish state is an ethno-national state, right?
Islamism polls the same way that as Zionism.
Hold on. No, hold on. You want to answer?
Yes, it does.
95%.
You want to make a fucking yes, it does. I guarantee you, it's like
95% of people support
80%.
Islamism.
Hell yeah! You want me to pull that shit?
I have the stats. I have the stats in front of me. I can
ask the question. I'm going to answer the question. Right. So, think a Jewish state, right? Support of that hides a bunch of stuff, right? Oh, it sounds lovely, right? Oh, just a state for the Jews, a state for the Jews to be safe, right? Where is that state? That state is in a place where they've had to ethnically cleanse the population, to genocide the population, to torture, to rape the population, right? To actively steal their land right now. That's that's smuggled all in, like the supporting the Jewish state. Now,
wait. So how does that apply to the 20% of Arab Muslim Israeli citizens right now? Are they being raped and murdered and sodomized and holocausted right now?
Every Arab Israeli that exists, the tokens of Israel, they can go fuck themselves.
They're 1 out of 5 of the total population.
Dogs, they're dogs.
Time doesn't care what it is, right?
Dude, see how fucking racist that shit is, too? You say they're all being holocausted and 1 out of 5 Israeli citizens is fucking Arab Muslim, and he says they're fucking race traitors.
I'm going to fucking finish my point.
I
didn't say they're race traitors. I said they're dogs.
I promise you, I don't care what you're saying.
Yeah.
I don't care what you're saying.
Because you're wrong.
My point. I haven't even heard it. I'm not going to engage with it until I fucking finish what I have to say. That's what's going to happen. Great. Thank you.
Go for it.
Any which way, right?
I think he likes you, Connor.
I like him too.
I do like.
We just fight. It's fine.
I mean, it's cool, right? It's okay if he's wrong. But no. Fuck. What was I saying now?
You're screaming at Connor.
You were saying all Arab Muslims were being genocided and raped by Zionism.
No, I didn't say all Arab Muslims.
I think you were saying all hail Netanyahu. I think that's.
I might have been saying that. No, yeah. So the Palestine. Well, I'll finish this with this. The Jewish state smuggles in a whole lot of violence. The average liberal, right, like ignores that, right? Pretends that doesn't. There's a liberal. Sorry, by my
as a liberal, I do ignore that. Yeah.
Sorry. I actually really meant liberal Zionist. I didn't mean to. But like Also, liberal Democrats too, right? They actually do a lot of that too.
Sure.
It's always
but like,
them.
but like specifically liberal Zionists, right? They'll ignore all that. Well, no, I don't want any of all the other stuff, right? I just want the Jewish state, and I don't really. But I'm not going to examine how the sausage is made. But the sausage has to be made somehow, and this is how the sausage is made. So when you ask me, hey, are those two statements equivalent, right? Like supporting a Jewish state, and then what was it, bombing civilians?
Yeah, suicide bombing.
Yeah, right? Like horrible terrorist violence, right? I say horrible terrorist violence are in both of those statements. I don't support either of those.
What about Islamism?
Also,
Because I just sent you a Pew research
I
that says
very
that it polls as high as 80% in a shitload of Muslim countries.
Very last thing.
Does Islamism imply violence?
Very last
99%.
Is that like I don't. Very last thing is that like I don't necessarily support this article. There's a whole bunch that I don't actually support in this article. And I've had a lot of arguments with people who believe who align this article. I've had a lot of debate and discussion, right? That might not be clear with this conversation, right? That I don't necessarily agree with like a fucking lot of it, right? But like I think that what we do in these conversations is we like trivialize these things and say, well, of course, this is just ridiculous, right? And how could anyone think of this? So I'm trying to elucidate what like people within those spheres, as far as I can tell, hopefully I'm doing a good job, maybe I'm not. I'm trying to elucidate like what a lot of those people think, so that like the broader audience can like try to wrap their minds around it, because I know all of this is new to you, right? For most of the audience, you've probably not been exposed to exactly this type of ideology, right? So it might be all new to you. So I'm trying to elucidate that. But I have big differences as well. All right, so I'm gonna leave it there. I'm letting our friend Matt do it.
Okay.
All right, I got a couple points. I've been writing down points, so I want to go through the points real quick. I'll try to machine gun them. First point, Connor is right. I posted the Pew article with some very specific parts highlighted. The people who want specifically Sharia law as defined as legal code based off of Islamic scripture to be the official law of the land. It's 91% in Iraq, 89% in the Palestinian territories, 83% in Morocco, 74% in Egypt, as high as 99% in Afghanistan. Not really much of a surprise there. 86% in Niger. When you look at the most populous Muslim country, Indonesia, it's still as high as 72%. Countries that are very also high population countries like Bangladesh and Pakistan, 84%, 82%. It is, I mean, just population-wise, these are the massive population centers. It's fair to say that most Muslims worldwide want to have like Islamic law established as the law of the land in their area.
Is that a bad thing?
I think so. I think religious law is a bad thing.
And I never said anything about
and it implies violence, by the way.
Sure.
Let
me just go through them real quick, and I know that's going to be responded to. But just before we get away too far away from it, the second point, because this was indirectly a response to what Ali was saying before, when he was saying you guys never bring it up when it comes to Israel. There's always this exception when it comes to the Jews. I'm somebody whose position has been moved in many ways when it comes, because of the stats and and conversation on Israeli war crimes that have happened in Gaza. That's pretty well documented, and they're really terrible civilian to military casualty ratio. But the reason that I was getting a little bit frustrated is because, we're here to talk about a specific article in which the author very explicitly, I think, is glorifying October 7th, which is chock full of war crimes, and it also had a horribly high civilian to military casualty ratio. And so I'm looking for the same, in my opinion, same level of consistency. And then the last point here, going back to the might makes right argument that Connor was making, which I don't fully agree with. I'm interested really in the self-determination of established communities that live in the area now. And the reason why I care about that is because I think the land back argument suffers from two problems. The first problem being is that it ties blood to land, which I think has like an inherent basis in race. But then the other problem is just kind of what we were memeing about, is that there's really no discernible endpoint, which is that, how far back and why. So yeah, the Jews were there before the Muslims. Should they get their land back? Was that too far? The author of the article is advocating for the complete destruction of America. Okay, so now we're talking about 500 years. So clearly 500 years is not too far back for her. So, there doesn't seem to actually be any kind of discernible endpoint. At what point is land back Israel, or at what point is land back Palestine? At what point is land back giving everything back to the Native Americans, or at what point is land back depopulating everything except for the original people who came over the Bering Strait? Like there hits a point of, I think, absurdity that it's just completely unworkable. So those are the points I make. I know that Doobie wants to respond to the first one, but if any of the three of them, anybody.
Well, that was next. So I'm gonna
and quickly before you do that, just some money came in. 300 bits from Feder Mephistus says Zionism is the greatest decolonization project in history. Okay, thank you. The real FQ, thank you. Gave a handful. She gave pocket change, but I appreciate it. Thank you. The real FQ.
Wow,
it was little. I don't even know. It doesn't tell me. It doesn't tell me. It doesn't tell me how much it was. It's just literally one cheer, cents. It doesn't tally it for me. I don't know how much he gave.
Does Twitch take a cut of that 1 cent?
Probably.
Sure.
And there's probably other pieces. And if I know I missed a few, and I do apologize because I know one person, Gazamat. I know you redeemed a few highlighted messages with 100 bits, so thank you. I haven't. It's not showing up. I apologize, but thank you for the 100 bits. I apologize, I didn't see your message, but if I see it again, I'll read it.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, who wants to go?
Yeah, I just want to. So my thing when I say people don't really talk about it, and then you guys are like, "What do you mean? Everyone's talking about it." I think the issue is when we talk about what's happening to Palestine or what's happening to Lebanon or what's happening to these regions, it's dwindled by this thing of what's happening to the Jews, right? Because Israel is the Jewish state. I think Connor was he was saying, he's I'm a tepid Zionist. I wish I could support Israel, but right now it's kind of hard because they're taking over the Litani River, and it's they're taking over southern Lebanon. They're annexing southern Lebanon. It's
they're being pretty aggro, yeah.
Yeah, I know, but he says that, and it's kind of in a it's just so calmly said. Right, there's no anger behind it. There's no fuel or determined, sure. Right? But when it comes to, for some particularly Jewish Americans or Jews in Israel, there seems to be this fire and fury behind it that no other group in the world seems to get, even in America. So I say this because I was watching the debate with Doobie that Doobie had with Wick, and the way Wick gets fired up about anti-Semitism. It's and I see this in the greater liberal sphere. They get so fired up about anti-Semitism. I've never seen that kind of fire against sexism or racism or the Islamophobia that's happening. For months, Jake Lang was going to Muslim communities, walking around with a Quran and pig's heads. I didn't see any of the liberals stand up and say anything about that. I don't see them saying anything about the Islamophobia or the racism that happens. But when it comes to the anti-Semitism, when it comes to the anti-Israel speak, the Avengers line up, and it seems that our figureheads, our politicians, are kind of in support of this, right? We're talking about bombing Lebanon and taking over Lebanon and going to war with Iran, right? We're at war with Iran. I'm sorry, but that is at the lengths and for this other country, right? We're doing all these things, and when you have a conversation about it, it instantly gets met with anti-Semitism. So we're now shutting down.
Can I build a quick bridge?
Wait. No, wait. Just let me finish real quick. It just gets met with a million things. But then when you want to talk about the Islamophobia, when you want to talk about things that are going, it gets really, really minimized. And it's the conversation isn't being taken seriously. But when we have a conversation about Israel, Hamas attacks Israel, oh my God, Hamas attacked, they killed 1,200 civilians, so on. But Israel's currently, they dropped 100 bombs in 10 minutes in Beirut, right? Nowhere near Hezbollah. So it's we never give it the same gravitas as we do the terrorists that attacked Israel. But when Israel does it, we don't have that same passion. So sure. I don't know.
Let me build a quick bridge with you. I understand where you're coming from, and I do think that there's people who do in the emotions seem to betray that they instinctively are valuing some life over the other, and I can understand that can be frustrating. What I can guarantee you, and I don't know if I'll have the opportunity to do this because there's really not that many of them, but what I can guarantee you is I have in the past argued with people and gotten in big fights with people who have taken the more extreme pro-Israel positions. And yeah, if I was on a panel and the article was basically this but reversed, and the author, let's say, was very explicitly like celebrating some sort of like mass attack on Gazan civilians, or the killing of journalists, or the bombing of Red Cross workers, or the rapes, like the stuff that has demonstrably happened, I would be aggressively arguing with them as well. And I'd be saying, like, this in particular is fucked up. I just need you to acknowledge that. And it wouldn't be enough for me if they said, oh, but look at October 7th. Okay. Yes, it's fine to attack October 7th too. That was horrible. But right here, I mean, this is fucked up. Why are you defending this? And I'm not saying you are defending October 7th, but I feel like this author is. And that's why I have aggression towards the author. And that's why I was
I'm not taking it personally. I'm not like
Sure.
attacking you, but I'm saying that
But I understand your point
in this conversation. It just does. It gets overtaken. It's something about the Jews where if you say anything, it's shut down instantly, and it's tough. It's tough.
I will counter this by just saying there is a reason why Wick gets so fired about it, and it's because Doobie's right in front of him. No one who's a Jake Lang is not on the panel, the guy with the pig heads, and there is a bias, right, that like you're going to get frustrated with the people in front of you rather than
I don't think that's it.
No, I think
because Wick has hosted many panels.
You don't think that that's at least part of the conversation?
No, I think Wick has hosted many panels on anti-Semitism.
I know, I've been on them.
Yeah.
Wait, but I've also, I know that Wick sees what's going on with the Jake Lang thing, and these are conversations that he should be having, right? If he's someone who has conversations across all spheres. But it doesn't seem that he cares about these conversations. It really does seem that like the anti-Semitism Israel thing is kind of like the DGG like core argument that they have right now, is that they support the Jews, and everyone else who's Hassan Piker fans are terror sympathizers. That's really what it is.
That's
it's just
because they are
rhetoric.
terrorist sympathizers, and that's what's so frustrating about this argument.
Are the IDF
terrorists?
Are people who support the IDF and what they're doing terror sympathizers as well?
Hold on. If you're saying I like what the IDF is currently doing,
I'm not asking if you like them.
Terror sympathizer.
You support Israel in the way that they're doing. You don't condemn them. You don't.
Then I would say you're a terror sympathizer.
Do you think the IDF performs terrorism?
So they're terror sympathizers too.
Great.
Yeah. Okay. Great. I mean, as long as we're being even with it. Sorry. DB, you can, and then we'll go to our friend Connor, who's been waiting.
You guys are never fucking even about it. You don't criticize Hamas ever.
What? Of course we do.
Of course we do.
Like, what the fuck? I spent the first 3 years of this conversation condemning Hamas every 5 minutes.
Zionist thing. I haven't heard you criticize Hamas. Of course, people criticize Hamas. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, you just criticize him later, and you criticize him in the same way you'd criticize Nat Turner, right, in his rebellion. So killed children, killed women. It's a terrible thing to do.
Wait, that was fucked up, right?
Yeah, it's a terrible thing to do, bad thing to do.
Shouldn't done it.
But you do it in the context of, this is awful. But the root of this evil,
but people have a right to
this other thing, and that is where the focus should be.
No, hold on. Let me ask this.
Wait, hold on. I need to get
some direct response to that. In direct response to that, Doobie. So Haiti was a colonial slave state for a long time, and then when they kicked out the French, they didn't just kick out the French; they massacred all of them, genocided all the French, even the babies, stabbed them with bayonets and all that stuff. Very specifically, and I know you're not going to say it, so I'm not I'm just making a point here rhetorically. You wouldn't call that miraculous, right?
No, but again,
why not?
This is what this.
Why would you not call that miraculous?
Okay, because the intention there was to genocide these people, right? They're so angry, and again, I understand. I think the hatred is a natural human reaction, right? So even there, this is evil, right? To kill these people, but the root of that evil, it was the slavery. Right, and
it certainly wasn't miraculous.
Kill the French. So hold on. But
the motivation was to get rid of French influence. It wasn't actually to kill the French people.
No, because
they were their slavers.
Please, really quick. So the intention there, I think, was to end slavery, and
make sure it never comes back.
Genocide these people, like actually genocide them.
Well, that was the means to the end, which was to make sure the French never.
Guys,
come back.
Can I interrupt? My older kid woke up and he's not going back to bed. So can I kind of do like the counterpoint I wanted to do in an outro?
Weren't
you
responsible
really
for putting
quickly?
him to bed?
Because my response was actually for you.
I'll listen to it.
Just really quickly. So like what was Connor Prime was saying earlier about the FBI needing to like entrap Muslim teens or whatever, because there was so little support for jihadism in the U.S. See, I posted Pew articles, right? Pew Research polls about specifically American Muslim support for Al Qaeda, support for terrorism, support for suicide bombings, and it was extremely low at the time, extremely low. So it's true that in other parts of the world, I mentioned this earlier, you'll find higher levels of support, absolutely. Right? But in the United States specifically, the levels are extremely low. We're talking about like 1%, right? For some of these things, it's very
but well, if I may, if I ask 100 white motherfuckers, is it okay to massacre civilians in the name of a political ideology? 100 out of 100 are going to say fucking no, right?
That's not true.
So what's that?
That's not true.
Wait, hold
on.
So explain yourself. So you think that if you ask 100 white people, you'll find somebody who's like, yeah, just gun down civilians. It's awesome.
Yes, actually. Yes.
What?
So
in reference to what political ideology do you think they support that enables that line of thinking?
I have no issue with this at all. So, yes, I think here in the United States...
If you're going to extend this to collateral damage in American military operations, this is not analogous.
I think here in the United States, you'll find plenty of white people, white Christian evangelicals typically, that will absolutely support wiping out, turning Gaza into a parking lot.
Indirectly, though.
No, turning Gaza into a parking lot, killing all these people because they're evil, right? It's absolutely the same.
I already said collateral damage to military operations.
Hold on, that is not collateral damage.
Listen, military operations.
Hold on. You know what? I'll build a bridge with you guys.
Listen.
Hold on. His question was, do they think to themselves? In answer to the question, the question was, do you think it's good to gun down civilians? No context is given. They don't even think that to themselves. Sure, they'll go, well, we got to bomb down Gaza, but they don't think to themselves, oh, okay.
So if we're taking like a literal interpretation of what he said, then yeah, probably not. But if you look at what I posted, right, with the American Muslims, right, and extremism, this is asking about suicide bombing, whether it's ever justified. So suicide bombing slash other violence against civilians. No, listen. Slash other violence against civilians is just justified to defend Islam from its enemies. 2011. Only 1% of Muslims in the United States said yes. And often. 7% said sometimes. 5% said rarely. 81% said no. So never.
Wait, hold on. Justified. Add rarely, sometimes, and often together.
And it's not even 20%.
Yeah,
it's not even 20. Okay, so hold on.
Hold on, Connor. That's
no. Lactoid, be my mass shooter schizo real quick. Hey,
Connor,
hey, Lactoid. In the name of Christianity, is it sometimes, often, or rarely permissible to massacre dozens of civilians? Please answer that question.
He's not a Christian.
Often, sometimes, or rarely. If you answer rarely, it's only 20%.
Connor.
So don't worry about it. No, this is fucking retarded. You guys flatten violence concepts. It's dumb as shit. I'm not going to pretend it's not dumb as shit. I would like to go do an outro and help tuck my kids.
If you were to ask this question in Israel, to Israelis within Israel, what percent of them do you think would say yes? I think like 40% of them say like fucking...
Didn't you say that Ben Gvir had like a mass shooter fucking poster in his room or something?
Yeah. Hold on. And
there was a
poll recently
when they passed that law.
Somewhere around 40% of Israelis support genocide. Like 80
Wait, sorry.
Support ethnic cleansing.
Hunter's our resident Jew, right?
Irrelevant. I'm talking about Israelis.
Barely. I'm Jewish.
Okay. Answer for the 20% of Israelis who want to massacre Gazan civilians.
It's not 20%.
Answer for them now. 20%. Answer for the 80% of Israelis that want to massacre fucking Gazan civilians.
Connor. It's much higher. So I think if you would ask that question,
I need to do an outro. I need to tuck my kids into bed. I got to Doobie. I'll call you tomorrow during the workday. We could hash this out, just you and me. But I gotta roll.
Sure. Yeah,
okay. All right. Have a good one.
Sorry. So, one of the questions that was asked probably 45 minutes ago was, why do you downplay the Palestinian side of the story? And what's interesting about that question is I clicked on the hyperlinks for this article. And one of the article links was the accusations of organ theft. Okay. And the reason why I'm so dismissive so quickly is because there were Palestinian corpses who had been killed by IDF forces, taken into IDF custody, and returned without their vital organs. So the inference by the writers of the article was that these organs were stolen and that they were implanted into Israelis who needed them. But I've done autopsies before, okay? And what medical examiners do, particularly when it comes to homicides, is they take out the fucking vital organs. They literally chop a fucking Y in the center of the fucking chest. They open that bitch up and they remove all the vital organs for analysis, including the brain, the heart, the lungs, the intestines, all that kind of shit. So I'm not in Israel. I don't know whether or not the Jews stole these organs. I mean, they're cheap, so maybe they would. I have no fucking idea. But
I don't endorse.
but
End quote.
but
Yes, you do.
but if I had to bet dollars
Yes,
to
all
donuts,
Jews, Prime.
yeah, if I had to bet dollars to donuts, it was not because they were cheap and stealing organs. It's because they were doing autopsies by people killed in homicides. So that's the kind of thing where you take something that's real, like corpses not having vital organs, you expand it into something with which you do not have evidence, and then when you like assert it as fact, it makes me less likely to believe you in the future.
This is because you don't know anything. You don't know
hold
anything
on.
about this. There have
Well,
been
then
cases
send me
of
evidence
organ
about the
theft.
fucking organ trade or whatever, but I gotta go to bed. I gotta do
group
shit.
chat.
I gotta do shit.
Okay, go for
Let's
it.
talk about it tomorrow. So anyways, the point is that I don't think the conversation about Israel, Palestine is interesting. We can fight about it forever, whatever. But what I didn't get out of this conversation that I thought was the most interesting part of the evening is, how do we assign collective guilt? What are we actually demanding of the parties with whom we assign collective guilt? And then how do we come up with a rule set so it's not just white people and Jews taking on collective guilt? Because if I can do it to the black, like, listen, I don't like it. I think it's a bad rule set. I think it's going to fuck up our national conversation. But if you do it to me, I want to do it to the blacks. I want to do it to the Muslims. I want to do it to the Jews. I want to do it to the Hispanics. So you guys come up with a rule set to how to hold each other collectively guilty, and then we'll do that.
Thank you, Connor, for being here. Much appreciated. And to Connor's audience, there's an article talking about Palestinian organ theft 20 years ago. Much appreciated, though. Have a good one, friend.
Okay.
Counter.
Air Social, love you guys.
Messages.
See you
I've sent
soon.
you
Have a
few
beautiful
messages.
night.
Reply.
Well,
And also, we have someone else who wants to join, Dad Katie. Okay, so I'll let her in. But yeah, anyone else, if you want to say anything first, go ahead. Anyone else? You're complete a
Got a very important question for Katie. Are you the recipient of stolen organs?
It's
You're
very
very,
quiet.
very quiet. We can't hear you.
Yeah. So we'll wait for her to work on that, and then she can make the intelligent retort. Before then,
That's fine. Go for it.
we got some super chats that came in later on.
boom.
Boo.
Now
Hello.
we can hear
There
you.
we go. We can
Much
hear you,
louder. Yeah, much
clearly.
better.
So we have Numanex, who says, I understand, but is this whole ass debate more ignoring of the issue at the center of it all, which is extremism in any direction? It's always blaming something else instead of changing. Maybe.
He admitted.
Yeah, that can happen. It can happen that where we aren't actually like tackling the heart of the issue, right? And then we're equivocating, right? It happens. People do it on both sides. But thank you for that, Numanex, for the kind $10 and for the kind support throughout the stream. And then Grassroots Hegemon says, $10. I was right. Everyone should be in prison, universal basic jail. Dibs on Doobie as a celly, by the way. $10. I have dibs on Doobie as a celly. I think that'd be pretty fun. I think we'd have a good time.
Make jail tolerable.
Just to be clear, I'm a top.
Yeah.
Clear.
What'd you say?
I said, just to be clear, I'm a top.
I mean, he means top bunk. He means top bunk. That's fine,
That's what I
buddy.
meant,
Okay, all right. We'll let. All right. So, Hunter, did you want to say something?
Yeah, I do. I do fully agree with Connor that is probably the more interesting conversation, is the responsibility aspect rather than just I wish that could we just take for granted that Israel is doing some horrific war crimes, and that largely I am interested in the responsibility aspect of this. But yeah,
Okay.
I also want to make sure that we give the new person a voice
next week.
Okay. Well, let's go to with
Said
Katie,
Katie?
because I'm curious what your thoughts on this are. Yeah, I'll just
Well,
open the floor.
I have to answer Lactoid. So, not that I'm aware of, but Israel has a weird thing with consent. So, it's possible. I don't know what they do to me when I sleep. But I did link an article for the Guardian talking about Israel stealing organs from Palestinians. So, that's in the chat, and you can have that if you want. I don't think that even addresses the the skin bank situation. I think this is just organs and bones.
You're
but I'm
talking to
not-
no one. Connor already left.
No, but I think this is.
I'm talking to
she's
chat.
Yeah. She's talking.
Okay.
to
I think
her
people need to know this stuff.
Okay.
Okay.
Shut down.
I haven't read the full article, but as the second resident Jew now, you can direct those questions to me. Also, Jewish, it's depends on the day that you ask me.
I
The
already made the joke, so don't
No,
fucking cut
it's-
into my shit, into my shtick.
It's a build up on your joke. Don't be cheap. It's very Jewish of you.
Prime does not endorse, but go ahead.
It's okay. It's Jew on Jew crime. We're allowed.
She's just criticizing her own community, Prime. It's okay now.
Yeah.
True.
Prime-
Let the Semites
Prime
let,
not
let
endorse.
Semitic racism be between the Semites, okay?
To be fair, there was actually a super anti-Semitic comment earlier, and none of you gave a fuck. So that was cool about like the author of the article like killing herself or deporting herself or whatever. Apparently, if you're an anti-Zionist Jew, a Jew can say whatever they want about you, and this panel is fine with it. I'm not sure that me and Hunter are in community though, because I'm an anti-Zionist, so I'm not in community with Zionists.
I largely
she,
consider
the
myself
author,
an
consider
yeah, exactly.
She would probably not.
Okay. Where do we disagree then?
Well, a lot of things, but can I make a point for myself first?
Sure, totally. Sorry.
Yeah. The one thing that I did find interesting that you guys referenced about the article was that I think you, Hunter, specifically, or Lactoid, read that part about that there is no distinction between Judaism and Zionism.
Mhm.
And I tried looking up some details about this author. She doesn't seem to be religious. I don't know what synagogue she's saying this at or whatever, but that 10% of anti-Zionist Jews are highly Orthodox, ultra-Orthodox. So I actually took quite an offense that she is making it about Judaism and not because the most avid anti-Zionist advocates are ultra-Orthodox Jews. So I thought that was weird as fuck, but I wouldn't be surprised why someone who's Jewish but not religiously Jewish would make it about Judaism. So that was my point.
Is that I don't know if I followed that point. I'm sorry. Was that to me or to the author?
Well, the author isn't here, but I made a general point. You don't even have to address it. That was just something that bothered me. I think it's really weird to make it about Judaism when the vast majority of anti-Zionist Jews that exist are way more religious than all of us. They are not
Sure.
Jewish, they're
Sure,
just
sure, sure.
Jewish.
Sure.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's true.
Katie, what? And this is what our friend Lactoid, I think, wanted to elucidate. Like, where are your points of disagreement? So, okay, we got the ultranationals thing, right? But
I haven't read the article. I can read
That's
it
true.
really
You
quick.
haven't.
That's fine.
That's
You
fine.
cannot read it. You cannot read it real quick. It is a long fucking article.
It's
That's not on you.
That's fine.
It's
I'm
a
a
fucking
reader,
slog.
but okay. Thank
Okay.
you.
No, I am too, and it takes
Okay.
a little while. Yeah.
Okay.
I wonder
Sure,
how
sure,
AI
sure.
would summarize
Okay.
it.
Then
I
I'll-
read
Yeah, you can do that too.
I read half of the first paragraph and I was like, "Oh, this is not how I like to talk about this. This is
Yeah.
this is how we
For
talk
sure.
It's pretty normal
with,
to you
with
then. That's
people
good.
that we like. This is how we talk with people that we trust. This is not something that we put outside like this." And
which goes to my point, which what I was saying earlier, right? And Lactoid, I understand your criticism of me, and that's fair, right? But like the point that I was trying to make earlier is that like the language here is actually pretty insular. Now that doesn't mean you can't judge it otherwise, right? I think you're correct to say that you can make an honest external critique, right, of the language. I think that's fair, right?
Yeah.
But like I think my interpretation.
You
could
critique
be
those
wrong.
Republican leaked group chats, right?
No, and that's fair. That's fair too, right?
Ooh.
Exactly. Like within there's all kind of language. Maybe they don't mean kill all Jews, even though they keep saying it over and over again. They might not.
They actually probably don't.
But
honestly.
even if that's
It might
their
not-
code,
it-
that's
it
probably
might not.
bad, right?
It might. No, yeah, that's fair, and that's fair too. But I'm just saying that, well, it doesn't matter. Anyway, while we're here, though, right, and I know we're near the end, so I just want to ask a few things, or talk about a few things that happened at the very start, and I never got a chance to address. Okay, at the very start, for Lactoid's opening, right, he talked about like how he dismisses this article immediately, because the individual, the author, wants to dismantle America. Now, I know that that's true. It's not the only reason, but that's the one I'm talking about.
It's one of you.
Fair. Like, and I get that you disagree with that. That's fair, right? But is that a crazy idea? That's the thing I want to talk about.
Yeah.
What does that mean, though? Can we clarify what that
means? So what she clarifies is the complete destruction of America, returning all the land back to the Native American tribes, and then all white people fuck off back to Europe.
Yeah, like where do I go?
That you go to Europe. That's where we go. You and I have to get on a boat and go to Europe. Now look,
I get
they're gonna take me.
Indigenous, but fuck the rest.
Sure. I have to go to Sweden. It's not the worst thing. Okay, I'm gonna be fed.
Yeah,
it's
but
not a big deal.
I'm going to some fucking nonsense place in Poland. That's like
good luck.
Lactoid,
I don't
read
speak
it.
the language.
Yeah, I
and
did read
Doobie
it.
said he read it a few times. So when she says
he studies it.
Okay, when she says the complete destruction of America, whatever the fuck, does it actually say go back to Europe, or is that something that you're inferring?
That's something that I think can be inferred from what she says the solution for Israel should be.
I'm asking if it's written there.
Just to be clear, that's her prescription for. I don't.
So she didn't say that about America.
Okay, well,
she does stipulate that for Israel, and then says.
Let me read.
Okay, thank you. I just want to know if it's written in there or not. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, so she doesn't say that about America, but she does say that about Israel. So that the I think she said like not a speck of Zionist colonial whatever should be left here, and they should be like and then you need to make sure that they don't victimize people where they go, basically.
Yes. But
no,
she basically thinks Zionists can't stay.
No, she basically explicitly says it. And here's why. So the article here, I'm going to read this part. Quote, genuine Jewish anti-Zionists unwaveringly support the total eradication of Israel. She uses the word eradication. And then in parentheses, and the greater Satan, America, spelled with a K, full land back without a speck of Zionist or Euro-American imperial settler colonial control. Now, when you click on the link, because this parentheses has a link to a different article she writes about how she wants to destroy all of America. And in here, she advocates for ignite instead an eighth fire prophecy from Cherokee to Dene to Iroquois Confederacy and beyond. Raise a tufan, floodstorm of every red nation's, she calls them red nations, okay. Red nations banners high in the respective lands and hallowed territories. So yeah, all of us have to go back to Europe.
So to be clear,
okay.
Oh, you can respond to that, Kate, if you're looking.
Maybe I'm just culturally unaware of where what he read meant. Maybe there's like a mythology that I'm unaware of about going back to America or whatever. But that's like, I'll take your word for it that it says that.
So I
haven't heard that part when you read it.
The point that I was trying to make is not that I agree with necessarily dismantling America, right? But this idea of like why. Actually, I don't know. I was going to say she's an outsider, but I don't know if she was born here or not. I have no idea. Actually, it's not clear to me. I don't know her background. Whether she's
she's born in San Diego.
She was born in San Diego.
Of course.
Oh,
yeah.
Of course she was.
I don't know.
Californians, dude.
Okay, fair enough. Okay. Well, so she's not an outsider. Okay, fair enough. Right. But like
California is kind of an outsider.
There is it does it make sense for other people? I won't speak on this person because I don't really know their psychology. But is that crazy for other people to want America to be dismantled, considering like what America has done to the world, what America is doing to the world right now, right? It's like we're in an oil shock because of America, like right this second. Like basically what I'm saying is like, let's have like the great Satan debate, right? Like now I wouldn't call America the great Satan. I wouldn't use that terminology, but it makes sense to me like others would. Right, like, hey, like, why would the Iranian kids say those things, or and burn the flag? Well, because of all the horrible things that we've done to Iran, including what we're doing right now, right? And like, if you go to countries around the world, they'd have similar arguments. Not all of them, but a lot of them, especially in the global South, would have that. So what I'm asking here is that actually a crazy idea to want the imperial core to be dismantled?
Wouldn't you like? We have to be clear about what we're saying here. Like when you say the imperial core should be dismantled, are you just saying America should just stop funding the military and maybe Europe takes over a little bit, maybe China takes over a little bit? Or are you saying, you know, and on the other far end, you're saying that Native Americans should rise up and then kill every American and we should all be deported? And I don't know where in that spectrum you lie.
I think it's fair. I think it's fair to ask for a definition of that. Now,
because I would say this is this
Oh,
is reasonable. Sorry, it's not reasonable. I disagree with it fully, but it's a normal ass take. You could walk around and be a normal person and have that take.
Yeah.
okay. Katie, I think you want to answer that.
I have a clarifying question. So when I hear words like "this country needs to be eradicated" is a strong word. I'll give you that, Lactoid. That article is very emotionally charged, and that's why I said I don't necessarily think that language is outside language, because I'm not saying that feelings are bad, but not everyone needs to hear your feelings all the time in the way that is not polished to some degree. But when I hear something like dismantling country, I think something about how we dismantled Nazi Germany and we dismantled Imperial Japan. And when those countries or those entities were dismantled, people weren't deported or mass killed. Now we did do, not we, I didn't, but America and other allies did perform many war crimes there too. To be fair, so did Nazi Germany and Imperial Japan. But my question is more like, why when I hear the word dismantle, I think, well, everyone who lived in Nazi Germany continued living there after it was a Nazi Germany, same with Imperial Japan. But then when it comes to dismantling Israel or dismantling America, it's always like, well, do you mean kill all of us?
No, it doesn't necessarily imply that, but this article does. So let me
For
just,
Israel, it's the racism of Arabs.
Let me
this is the wrong direction to go.
When you say dismantle Israel,
Well,
people get worried that the racist Arab Muslims are going to just genocide
So-
the Jews if you
No,
dismantle.
I know, but I'm asking.
You're right. So,
I know.
so what I said before is genuine Jewish anti-Zionists unwaveringly support the total eradication of Israel. Okay, so you agree eradication is kind of a bad word, but I also agree that sentence doesn't necessarily state that like all the Jews have to leave. It could just mean that Israel has to disappear and like be replaced by something else. And then it says, and the greater Satan, America, and then it links to a different article advocating for
Okay, but
complete land back.
your
Hold
starting,
on.
your
Let
starting
me-
argument was that it's genocidal, and now
Yes.
you're saying that it doesn't.
I'm almost
mean
there. I'm almost
Okay.
there.
Sorry.
Full land back without a speck of Zionist or Euro-American imperial settler colonial control.
Mm.
This includes Jews supporting removing fellow Jews from Palestine while ensuring they don't do harm wherever they go or further displace indigenous peoples elsewhere.
Mhm.
And open reverent support for Palestine's armed resistance. Gaza's Mujahideen are at the heart of the struggle, currently spearheaded by Hamas's Al-Qassam brigades, who executed the miraculous, she uses that word, Al-Aqsa flood on October 7th, 2023, an operation that genuine Jewish anti-Zionist unequivocally recognizes one of the most prolific anti-colonial operations in history. So when you look at this paragraph, what's it saying?
I hear you.
Yeah, eradicate
But I'm
Israel.
not talking about the paragraph. I'm talking. So if someone says, if I said I support the dismantlement of Israel, you don't think I'm advocating for ethnic cleansing or genocide?
necessarily.
Of Jews?
Not
Okay,
necessarily.
Cool. No,
I
that's all
agree,
want.
not necessarily.
Not
Okay.
necessarily. I would
In
need
case
to
you're
hear.
curious.
I would need to hear more. But
Okay.
what I think, what in the article, and I understand that you don't, you haven't read it, and that's totally understandable. So that's not being held against you here.
No.
But-
I hear the paragraph, and
Yeah.
I see.
That's in much more
disagree with
detail.
your interpretation, but it is much more detailed, and there's stuff that I disagree with in too. There.
And that's why when Prime said, "Do you support this? Like, do you think that that's crazy?" I'm like, "Tell me more," because I don't know what dismantling really means.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
just
I
wanted
think
to know where-
this is right. I think this is crazy when you're advocating for full land back without a speck of Zionist or Euro-American imperial settler control, which includes removing all Jews from Palestine, fellow Jews from Palestine, while ensuring they don't do harm wherever they go, while in the same paragraph glorifying October 7th, which was a direct attack on civilians.
First of all, I completely understand not wanting to take this paragraph down into chunks, and I think
Right.
that's fair. I don't necessarily think this paragraph can be fairly taken into parts and be like, well, do you just agree with this part? Do you just agree with this part? Because it is part of a greater whole. I agree with you. Exercise outside of it. When I talk about, and again, I wouldn't phrase it like removal of Jews from Palestine, but when I talk about solutions, from stuff like that. I think there are American settlers that came to Israel last year, right? If Palestine is free tomorrow, do I think they need to get the fuck back to where their dual nationality is from? Yes, I do. Do I think the parents of my brother-in-law who came to Palestine when they were 15 need to go back to a country that they can't go back to? No, that's unfeasible, right? But you see that you agree with me that there's a difference there,
There's a difference.
right?
Yeah,
Totally.
No, there is a difference.
'Cause you're
My
saying-
my
you're saying
accusation
all
is
Jews-
this. I believe this author is anti-Semitic. I believe this author is advocating for a kind of genocide or extreme ethnic cleansing at the most charitable. I really do think there's a genocidal aspect to what she's saying. I don't agree that everybody who I'm not saying that you guys and you guys have explicitly said that like this bitch goes pretty extreme, right? So fair enough, I get that. I'm just saying that based on the language that she's using here, I mean, to me, my interpretation I think is by far the most likely that she does want there to be a complete removal of Jews, and the ones that resist get shot.
Can we focus? The question, I don't think because we've danced around it a lot, right? And I don't feel like we've fairly actually, dealt with it. Okay, right? This idea that at least Jewish Americans. I'm not sure if she necessarily disambiguates Jewish Americans. She might be meaning Jews worldwide, but I'll talk about Jewish Americans because I have a greater idea there, right? Jewish Americans hold a responsibility for this project especially because they've been actively partaking in this project. Do we agree that there is a level of responsibility here?
I don't know what we mean by responsibility, genuinely, and I'm not trying to quibble.
Sure. I understand.
Because I keep saying how do we hold them responsible?
I think
and
I can answer that one.
Yeah. Because I'm like, well, should we harass them? And you're like, no, we don't harass them. And I'm like, okay, well then what do you do with a Jew who seems to be quiet about this whole thing? How do you guys?
I think it's a greater social conversation. I think honestly it kind of may have started with the non-vote for Kamala, right? Or the greater conversation we're having right now about not supporting AIPAC funded or Zionist politicians, right? I think it starts by taking the norm that the norm right now is that Zionism is the correct ideology to have, and that the support of this country is the correct, right? I think it starts by having issue. Yeah.
Here's my big issue with that. That's a responsibility for all Americans.
Yeah, I know. I think
it feels weird when we're saying what about Jewish Americans. I share the same responsibility you do.
Yeah. I think this article, I think the way this article is written is like I said, it's an internal critique, right? It's a Jewish woman who's talking about her community and what the problems within her community and what she thinks she needs to stop because it's an ideology from her community, by her community, for her community, right? Yeah, so first and foremost, that's where it starts. I'm saying the way you have this conversation is not by attacking random Jews in the street and calling them out for their Zionism, but you do start with having the grander conversation of what Zionism is. Do you support those who support Zionism, right? And when you start with the politicians, when you start by making your voice heard, right, then you can trickle down into having you're then going to start having more debates on should Jews be Zionists, right? And then you have this grander conversation and it trickles down. I don't think you're going to go around harassing people. I don't think that's going to work.
But wait. I feel like you kind of avoided my question because again, every time you answer the question, you talk about very fair responsibility. But
I think it ends up trickling down to the community that it started with, right? So you start by saying right now people are doing the not advocating for AIPAC funded politicians, right?
Totally.
The conversation starts there. It's going to trickle down eventually when it starts at the grander scheme. It eventually trickles down into the personal and the social, right? And then you'll start having more of these debates, right, where it's smaller panels of people discussing how to handle this, and then it becomes a conversation of should Jews support Zionism? And then
hold on, really quickly. So to be clear, I think that. So I want to address what I think you're saying directly. So my reading of this article, it's totally an internal prescription and internal critique, right? So she says at the start, she says I'm talking to Jews now, right? So she says explicitly she's talking to Jews, and I agree. The language in this article is very fucked, right? Yeah. Not very productive, I think. But she's talking to her community and not to people on the outside. So what she's advocating for explicitly is for Jews, specifically Jews, to call out what she thinks is an evil ideology within her community. I used the example of like Nazism earlier, right? If we have some kind of poll that said like 90% of white people were Nazis, I think it'd be fair to say, hey, if you're a white person, you're probably interacting with Nazis, and in your community, it's probably enabling Nazism. If we were to like to swap it in for Zionism, right? They're sending their kids off to Hitler Youth Camp. They're sending money to Nazi settlements, et cetera, et cetera.
Genuine
so
question.
If this is happening within your community, you have a responsibility to call it out, or you're complicit. That's what she's saying.
Here's where I feel like we're being a little bit dishonest here, where we're saying this is an internal critique. I think that that's a little bit dishonest because, Doobie, are you Jewish?
She published it.
1.1%. Okay.
You're not Jewish. You're not Jewish.
I'm claiming it. I'm claiming it. It'd be enough for Hitler.
It's not really her fault that Prime took her article, put a bunch of non-Jews on it, and
no. But you should be aware.
She published it to a non-Jewish audience.
Exactly. That's why I said you didn't hang it in a synagogue. I said that, and everyone laughed at me. But I'm like, she didn't hang it in a synagogue. She posted this online. Wait, hold on.
It would have been fucked up even if she hung it in a synagogue. Just to be
I
fair,
agree, but like,
then you're making a disingenuous argument.
No. Wrong. I'm not making a disingenuous argument. I think it would be fucked, but at least that is an internal conversation.
Right.
But Hunter, I'm
saying this is not an internal conversation.
Only Jews have access to, so she has to put it up publicly on the platform she has.
No. But it's not. Wait, hold on. It didn't start the conversation by saying, "Hey, by the way, this is just for the Jews. This is like genuinely. Don't read this." And they use like it's full of Yiddish. It's full of like conversations about like what.
It's silly, right? So we never have the critique. Hold on, we never have this critique of Black people, right?
Because I would never say they're having a solely internal conversation. Go ahead.
Hold on, but I think I heard this from you, Prime, where it's like, oh yeah, this is like it's like inside talk, or it's like a talk that we have with ourselves. It's not something that the white community realizing in business is talking about, right? So if we're talking about like cultural issues within sections of our community, that is an in-group conversation. White people don't really have anything to say about this, right? I heard that a lot from BAM, from Gambit, etc. Right?
Yeah,
I disagree with that, right? Because we're not like atomized communities; we all impact each other. So I think it's totally reasonable for everybody to have some kind of input. But there's no real way to like have those conversations in a way that only is going to be like
they're not going to be completely insular.
Hold on. I solved it. Okay, you agree that there's a language game happening here. That's a little linguistic term for having some sort of like in-group conversation.
Yeah.
What community is having that type of rhetoric? Because it's not the Jewish community. It's the It's the pro-Palestine community. She's using rhetoric there's no problem with it, but it's not an internal conversation just between Jews anymore. It's an internal conversation between pro-Palestinian communities.
But how do you? Okay, so
Jews can be pro-Palestinian.
What? No, I'm not saying what. Why are you taking
I think I understand what you're saying. No, I think what you're saying. What you're saying is that like. If so what I was saying to Lactoid previously is that it seems like the references she's making and the way her perspective seems to be of a like highly left individual.
No, but she's also signaling
anti-Zionist who hold on, I'm trying to help you out here. Sure. That a highly left individual who has some extreme anti-Zionist takes, right? And then within that circle, right, that like this is how like they converse with each other, right? So like that is an in group, right? But that's not necessarily the Jewish community, right? There are many people within that in group, but and some of them are Jews, but that's not necessarily the Jewish community. But then I think you're saying that now we're sneaking in the rest of the Jewish community by saying, oh, also this is an in group between Jewish Americans as a whole, when clearly that's not the case, because like you're saying, so many of them are Zionists, right? They wouldn't even have that language, right? If you don't have that language, if Lacto doesn't have that language, then the larger Jewish American community wouldn't have that language either. Right. Is that what you're saying?
Yep.
Yeah. Katie, you want to try to tackle that?
Well,
or
not really, but I could.
Why not?
You don't have to.
No, I will. It kind of implies that, like, what is the implication of that? Now,
the implication is
actually no.
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry, I thought that was a question. My bad.
Sorry, no. I am going to try to be productive. This is emotional for me. I'm sure this can't be for you as well, but I want to I believe in this for a second. Okay.
Okay.
For me, what you're saying is we're kind of assuming that there's like a right way to speak within like the Jewish community. Like you said, it could have been in Yiddish or something. Like she's posting it on the internet because it turns out that not all Jewish people know each other. Now, I will say this. I will say this. If you want to talk about how you have an issue that the article, that non-Jews can see it, then that's one thing. And I can't address that because I didn't make that choice, right?
Okay.
But I make conversations where I'm addressing the Jewish community and I say not the same things, but my opinion, right? And there is a non-Jewish audience listening to that. But what I'm hearing from you is that's like the argument, well, it's not really tailored to the Jewish community. It's like, well, what? Because she's using leftist language or
No,
pro-Palestinian language? Yeah.
Yeah, here's really what I'm trying to say. I think really at the core of it, I'm saying if you're speaking on a public forum, you should probably be aware that your audience could be anyone.
Yes.
Your audience doesn't necessarily, it's not going to be necessarily Jewish. It's not going to be necessarily pro-Palestine. It could be some psycho like Doobie or some psycho like Connor. You know, it could be a lot of different psychos.
Or Lectoid. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
Or Ali. Yeah.
Some psychos here. I resist this rhetoric that this is an in-group conversation. I feel like in-group conversations cannot happen on the internet, or they can only happen in chat rooms. An in-group conversation implies that, like, you as an author, if you're not having a conversation in a chat room and you're aware that other people could hear it, should probably tailor and understand that people outside of your bubble will interact with it, and you should accommodate for that. Or maybe not accommodate it, but you should not be so aggressive in your language that you could be so easily willfully misunderstood.
I completely agree with you. Okay, I completely agree. I don't.
Can I step in real quick? I have to bounce for this, guys. Really appreciate
Have a
it.
good one.
Yeah, I gotta go
party
soon.
looming. Take care,
Hell
Lectoid.
yeah.
What's up?
I said you got a dance party waiting for you, I'm sure.
Hell yeah, yeah. I'll make sure to actually leave the room this time. Don't worry.
No, Joe. We want to see the dancing. We want to see the dancing.
Lectoid
TV. Do it for us. Come on, do it. Go on, you don't want to do it.
Beautiful.
Okay, sorry, go ahead. Yeah.
Okay, I agree with you on that, and I don't think this is actually an inside conversation, right? I think there's
Yeah, well, that was the only point that I was.
okay. I think
countering.
there's a difference. I agree. You can't really have an inside conversation on the internet, but that doesn't mean you can't address something that you see in your community and
100%.
knowing that there's an outside space looking in.
100%.
What I wanted to say is, like, when you said, well, what does accountability means? What is our personal responsibility as Jews? Like she's saying it, I can toss some ideas on what I think she might mean, but if it's all going to come back, well, she shouldn't have said this publicly online. That's not really what I'm saying, because
Okay,
I
fair.
don't necessarily
Could we shortcut this conversation and we just we can use the article as a jumping off point, and I could just ask you what you feel like the responsibility is. And if you don't want to do that, that's fine. We could do that, but I think that would be more productive.
I can pretty much I can tell you as an anti-Zionist what I tell people that when I talk about like taking care of our community. So I will ask you, because you said you're Jewish. Do you know people who visited Israel?
Sorry?
Do you know Jews who visited Israel?
Look, here's the thing. I'm so Jewish. It's like I put an asterisk at the beginning of the show, and maybe it didn't really float back in. I said Hitler considers me Jewish and Israel would give me birthright, but like I am so far away from that religious core and from like the cultural aspects of it that I don't even. It feels weird to claim for sure.
Okay, so then let me ask you this. Do you just maybe have a hard time connecting to this because do you feel like you're a part of the Jewish American community?
No, I would say largely no, but it is sometimes weird that
so you feel called out, but you're not really part of it. And
I'll give an example. I'll give an example. I was very involved in a conspiracy recently where like hundreds of thousands of people put me in, like, essentially called me a murderer. It was really crazy. They found out that my dad was Jewish and worked in Hollywood. I felt Jewish in that moment. I felt Jewish. Like, it was like, you know, a lot of case slurs thrown out, a lot of, you're a hidden agent, you're like part of Mossad, you're a Mossad actor, whatever. I felt very Jewish in that moment. But day to day, no, I don't feel, I feel white. You know, I feel,
Yes,
you know,
you are white.
Yeah. I grew up religiously Mormon. Like, I grew up Mormon. Like, I feel Mormon. But
You grew up Mormon. Okay.
I did. So it's like, it always feels like I'm really not trying to like step on any toes. I always try to put an asterisk on my Judaism. It's very light.
Well, yeah.
And
well,
in some cases non-existent. Most people would consider it just not Jewish at all. But yeah.
I make a separation between Judea. So here's a stat for you. Most American Jews, and this would include you in this as well, because this is just like self-identification, basically. Someone who would say, I'm Jewish, right? Most American Jews who are secular or atheistic are very likely to be Zionists, right?
Oh, okay.
I know this sounds
That's surprising.
counterintuitive.
Yep.
Yes, but it is. That's why the numbers are so high in America, in the American community. In the American community, the support for Zionism is around like 70%, 71%. So it's a bit complicated because a lot of the people that you see, they seem okay. The point is, I would understand that there's a lot of things that you feel maybe unattached to, and then people are like calling you into the community, but you're not really part of the community. But then they're also saying a lot of really alienating things. And there's always the element of, well, very quickly, this can flip, and then I'm a Jew.
Yep.
Whether I decide to or not.
100%.
And so now I'm the Jew that gets thrown rocks at when I'm not even part of the community. I don't know what you're talking about, right? But the reason why I came in here and I said, hey, I don't know if I'm in community with this guy is because when I hear you talk, I hear Zionist talking points, right? And maybe you disagree with me. Maybe you don't know enough. Maybe you do. It doesn't matter. But that's why I said what I said, right? So I think that a lot of people will see you. And the point that I'm trying to make is that because Zionism is very, I think maybe an article that tries to tell Jews how to call in other Jews might not resonate very much with you because you don't feel very attached to the community. So you don't necessarily even know what this means, right? So just let me give you a quick example. My parents are Zionists, right? And when I asked them how they felt about Gaza, and this was in December 2023, so it was 2 months after October 7th, and my parents said that they're supporting what Israel is doing, and I asked them how many more kids have to die before they stop supporting this, and they couldn't give me a number, and I told them that I will never forgive them for this. And I told them that I will not speak to them anymore. And I haven't spoken to them for a year after that, right? And I'm not saying that everyone can or should do that, but that is an example, right? Of what someone like the woman who wrote the article, she wants there to be social consequences within the community when people that you know are Zionists.
Sure.
Right?
Here's I feel very frustrated with this for a lot of reasons. The first is, I mean, Wick brought me on a panel right after October 7th happened, or whatever. I've been on tons of panels about Israel and Palestine. I'm pretty damn pro-Palestine. I think that we should stop funding Israel. I think that largely speaking, they're committing a genocide. I resist, though, that position means that I have to consider Hamas one of the good guys, or whatever the article says. So in this conversation, in this specific conversation, when we're talking about an article that is one of the most egregious, thoughtless, aggressive rhetoric I've ever seen when it comes to this conflict, and I don't really mean that. I've definitely seen some inflammatory conflict.
Now you're being inflammatory, Hunter.
True. I see that, and yeah, I'm gonna be on more on the. It's essentially gonna look like I'm on the side of the tepid Zionist, but I'm not on the I've argued with Connor about Israel and Palestine all the time.
Well,
and
it
feels like it's stripping me of nuance, if that makes sense.
I agree with you. And from what I heard from the article, and Prime had private conversations with me about this, so he can testify that I don't allow for a lot of nuance in this type of stuff, right? Prime, testify.
Yes, indeed.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Raise your right
so-
hand. Do it.
So I hear you.
That's right.
And from what I heard from the article is that she said, I don't delineate between someone who's like Ben-Gvir and between someone who is just, like my liberal Zionist dad,
Right,
Who always
right.
voted for Meretz, which is the left-wing party in Israel, right?
Sure.
And I actually am with her on that. But let me, not with everything else, but let me ask you a question.
Sure.
Are you a two-stater? Do you think Israel as an ethnocracy?
Let me answer the question.
Okay.
I'm
sure.
against. I think that an ethnostate is 100% a bad idea. When it comes to how we resolve this issue, I don't know what the solution is. Genuinely speaking, I genuinely don't know what it could look like. I don't feel like I feel like a one state solution, Jews and Palestinians living together in Israel, feels completely like not happening anytime soon. I feel like a two-state solution is essentially just creating another ethno-state.
Okay, but in your ideal world, before we get to the practical, because I will tell you what your ideology is on the practical, but in your ideal world.
There's a weird question here. When you say my ideal world, are you saying I'm the president of the United States, or are you saying all of the Jews and Palestinians are able to work with me? You know what I'm saying?
You are God.
That's your ideal.
Well, then, of course, one state solution.
Okay, good. And so I know that. That's great. And then you're saying, well, practically, I'm not God. I'm not even the president of the United States.
Right.
So now I have to come up. And then you'll say a two-state?
I genuinely don't know if that would be feasible. I don't know what would be feasible. And I know, like, it feels, I'm trying not to be wishy-washy here. Like, I do feel like there are meaningful steps that we can take, but I don't know if a two-state solution is feasible. I don't know if a one-state is right now.
Okay, so let me say this.
Mhm.
You know Norman Finkelstein, right?
Mhm.
And you know who Noam Chomsky is.
Yeah,
so
of course.
These are people
I got
that
some of their books back here.
Cool. These people that recently or not so recently have had a lot of critiques about Israel.
Mhm.
And both of them end up, even with all these critiques, even Norman fucking Finkelstein says, hey, I'm a two-stater because I think that's realistically what's going to happen. And you wouldn't think Norman Finkelstein is a two-stater, but he is. And for me, and if it's for me, then I know it's for the article lady, that's not anti-Zionism, right? Because because a two-state solution means that the ethnocratic state of Israel exists, right?
Here's my frustration with this. I feel like I'm a big language guy. I feel like when we distill the word anti-Zionist to mean something that not even Norm Finkelstein. I actually don't know how to pronounce this. You said Finkelstein. I've always heard Finkelstein.
Me neither.
Anyway,
I'm just like, no one's gonna.
That Finkelstein doesn't even fit as an anti-Zionist. Then anti-Zionist doesn't mean shit. We went through some massive semantic bleaching right there, where that word anti-Zionist, you are meaning it to mean something that is not compatible with the rest of the American people, and I find that pretty that's a non-starter to have conversations.
Okay, but I just told you what my definition is. So are you going to say, I can't have a conversation with you because the definition that you posit and that I know that you mean, that doesn't work because the American people disagree with you? Because like the American people think that nuking Japan was justified. So I don't necessarily trust their judgment.
Wait, what the fuck? Wait, hold on. Definitions are just created by the public. I'm saying you are completely outside of the public on this one. So I do feel like it's important. I'm not saying your morals. I'm not saying your... I'm saying the way that you categorize, I do think it should be compatible with the rest of the people. Yeah.
Okay. I don't want to hijack into this to like a semantics linguistic argument.
Sure.
How you feel about it?
I was going to ask though, like, what do you think
because I do have
pro-Zionism means? Yeah, what do you think that means?
Not pro-Zionism.
Yeah, but I'm just trying to say the opposite of anti-Zionism. What do you think that means?
Because you would say Finkelstein is a Zionist, right?
Yeah, I'm talking to you.
Me, Hunter?
Yeah, what do you think that means?
Ooh, I mean, I would probably say, good question. Definitely I mean, we could probably agree with the more extreme versions. I think it would be strange. I think that it's a cluster concept, right? So I'm going to have to look at specific aspects. But anyone who supports funding Israel or
The state of Israel?
Yeah. Well, just an American citizen saying that we should continue sending weapons to Israel, not engaging with BDS, and saying that if you say you have if Palestinians don't have a right to be there, but I feel like that's obviously they're Zionists, right? I don't know.
That's not a definition, yeah.
Yeah, I think yours is like more broad, but also more limiting than I think the colloquial.
Sure, no, that's fair. And I think
typically
I'm happy to negotiate.
Yeah, so I know, but I think typically when people say that Zionism equals you support the existence and also maintenance of a Jewish state, so a Jewish ethno state, a state that is centered on the interests of Jews, basically. So if somebody says I support Israel remaining a Jewish state, then to me that's a Zionist. Whether or not you support sending them money or not sending them money, that's all irrelevant. It's just
killing children or not killing children.
Yeah, it's in fact you're supporting an ethno state. That's it. So
can I clarify really quick?
Go ahead.
So Hunter, this is why I have an issue with what you're saying. Like, first of all, the fact that you cannot supply an actual definition. My definition of anti-Zionism is the core opposite of Zionism, which is the existence of an ethnocratic Jewish state.
Wait, why would I need to supply a definition? All I'm saying is that yours is incompatible with
with what people think.
Right. And any definition should be compatible with how people think. That's all I'm just this is just a linguistic framework. That's all I'm saying.
Sure.
You're right, I don't have a definition offhand for sure.
I'm kind of arguing that
this isn't
those
accusatory
are the definitions.
What?
Yeah.
Say that
I'm
again,
not
Katie.
saying that you're accusatory. I'm saying these are the definitions. It's not my fault. People want to pretend that they're not because it makes them feel better about themselves or worse about themselves, right? The issue is that because anti-Zionist feels like a very loaded negative term these days, people really fear it. But let me explain something. I'm pro-Palestinian and I'm anti-Zionist. This means that even if there's a two-state solution that the Palestinians want, I would still be against a Jewish ethno-state because I don't support Jewish ethno-states.
Yeah. My frustration with this is twofold. The first is Finkelstein doesn't even get to be an anti-Zionist, which basically you're telling 99% of, I would say 99.9999% of Americans, they're not anti-Zionists at all. But the second thing is a lot of this is a non-starter for negotiations. Like if you're saying that we can't even start at a two-state solution where Palestine can have a state in the West Bank.
Who's saying that? Because not everyone are anti-Zionists, right?
Wait,
I'm an anti-Zionist.
Yeah, but you said that a two-state solution is a non-starter.
Non-starter for what? If Palestinians want a two-state solution, that is their right to do.
You would be against it, right?
No,
you're missing her point. You're missing her point. Wait.
Sure. Ollie,
she's saying that Zionism, right? The belief of Zionism is that Israel as a Jewish ethno-state needs to exist in the way that it does. What Katie's saying is that a two-state solution has nothing to do with anti-Zionism because Israel still exists within the two-state solution.
This is such a
No. Because the definition of Zionism is the support of a Jewish state.
I
support
understand,
of a Jewish
that's
state.
That's not how it's in use. It's not how people use that term.
That is how people use it. They don't know how that's how they're using it.
No. But people would obviously call Finkelstein an anti-Zionist.
What she's saying is that true anti-Zionism, the way that we understand it in America, is that Palestine gets a state. That's anti-Zionist, right?
It's not.
Yes. What she's saying is that Zionism is not Palestinian.
I get it. Zionism is a Jewish state.
So to her point, she is correct that someone who is for a two-state solution isn't an anti-Zionist because they still support a Jewish ethno-state.
I understand her point, but what I'm saying is that category is completely unnegotiable.
So let me just explain.
Okay.
When I said I'm pro-Palestinian, that means that I am far more You can call me a hypocrite if you want. I am far more attached to being pro-Palestinian, so I will support what Palestinians need, even if it. But I will still be against the existence of Israel as a Jewish state, right? So
I don't even. So what if they vote for a two-state solution? Okay, are you a
Then she says
sorry?
she
Actually,
supports-
no.
so-
I get that. Are you sorry? You don't have to reveal this information if you don't want to. Do you live in Israel? You
I
said
was
your
born
parents
and
are
raised
Israeli.
in Israel.
Gotcha. But you currently are not like you don't currently live there.
No, I live in the Netherlands.
Gotcha. Okay.
I
cool.
left.
Totally.
Yeah.
Like let's say you're able to vote in Israel, or you're talking to your parents. Oh, great. You're able to vote in Israel. Israel and Palestine finally come up with a solution, and they're negotiating, and Palestine's like, okay, great. We get a state. Here's the delineation. They figure out a delineation. They get the West Bank, whatever. Would you vote against that? Would you vote against that?
Why would I get a vote on it? I'm very confused.
You just said you just said you could vote.
You're saying like if there is a referendum between the two.
Okay, why? Okay, that's sure. If that's what Palestinian wanted,
No. But you're voting for whether or not Israel would accept that too.
What Palestinians tell me that they want.
She would support them. Is what
you don't know what they're going to vote yet. You don't know what they're going to vote.
Well, hold on, but we could. I don't know. That's weird.
Why is this crazy? Why I'm curious if you like, because here's my whole point. If you're taking the situation,
I want to address the American thing, by the way. So yes,
she'd be okay with a two-state. That's not what she wants.
No.
That's not her ideal.
No. But when you say it's not what you want, I feel like we're creating a non-starter for negotiation paths. And to me, that's where all of our eyes should be constantly. Is how do we fucking negotiate these delineations? Does Palestine get a state? Does Israel get a state?
But she's saying that she's willing to settle, because if Palestinians are okay with a two-state solution, she's okay with that. She'll settle for that. Like in
I will not stand in the way of that. With
yeah,
any
but she won't vote against it. But that's not what she wants. That's not her.
I get that.
Yeah, hon.
I feel like this is completely understandable, but I don't know if anyone's understanding me. Go ahead.
I'm trying to, but like also I have an issue is that like you're doing this in isolation, these like negotiations, and I was like, this is not like you're saying these categories, right? Or at least this framing doesn't allow for negotiation. Well, right now the thing that doesn't allow for negotiation is like the Israelis bombs, right? And they're like support by America, like so this wouldn't happen. These negotiations don't happen in isolation, right?
I obviously
no. I'm not saying I'm not like trying to insult your intelligence or anything here, right?
Okay. God, I need Lactoid back. Go ahead. Sorry.
I just want to say something quickly though, but like part of the movement would be to undermine like the state of Israel, right?
Okay.
So part of that negotiation will be putting Palestinians in a better spot to negotiate. Like part of the project would be to like putting them in a better spot to negotiate. Like so. You're saying like, hey, I don't like this language because like it's a non-starter type thing, but the language doesn't exist in isolation. All this exists.
Wait, hold on. Obviously, I'm against fucking the bombs. I just said that.
I didn't say you weren't.
Okay,
I didn't say you weren't.
Okay, so all I'm saying is that there are multiple factors that go into negotiations. Obviously, I think that the primary onus and the thing that I always lead with is stop sending bombs. I do think that would largely fix. Well, actually,
I'm not talking about your beliefs though. But like you think I'm examining your beliefs. I'm not examining your beliefs there.
Okay, what are you examining?
I'm examining like the notion you put forth, right? You're saying like, beliefs. Hey, you don't understand. No, okay. It's not your beliefs though. Okay. You're saying you don't like the way that Katie is talking. I'm sorry, that's not the words you use. I know, but like you're saying you don't like the framework she's putting forth, right? And you're saying this is that like because it precludes negotiations.
Yes,
I'm saying that's a bad way of looking at that, right? Okay. That's incorrect. But I'm not like implicating the rest of your beliefs.
No, right? No. Okay. Why is it so bad? Because it's not thoroughly aiming at the majority target, which is bombs. Is that what you're saying?
No.
Okay, walk me through it. I'm sorry, I'm stupid.
Because it's a non-starter for you for some reason. Like
what's a non?
I'm not sorry. No, let Katie in because I know.
Yeah. Maybe Katie could speak for herself. Sorry.
I'll let Katie.
Rather than just a man speaking over her.
Okay.
Go ahead. Sorry.
But it was great to see you.
Oh.
Sorry.
Bye, Doobie.
Yeah, great to see all of you.
Bye,
See you guys later.
Deuces, Doobie.
Yeah, I do got to dip soon, but sorry.
Okay.
I do want to have this conversation too, though. So I'm.
We
Yeah.
can schedule another time and also do a one-on-one.
Sure, sure. And I do want to be clear. Like, I really, I came prepared to talk about the article, and like, obviously,
I hear you.
like,
So I'm
You
going
didn't
to be
finish
very
reading the
honest
article,
with
so
you.
you didn't come prepared. But okay, go ahead, Katie.
true, valid.
Okay,
Fair
you-
enough, Prime.
You wanted me to speak my mind, so I'm going to be very honest with you.
Go ahead. Yeah.
I think that this confusion comes from something that I often talk about when I bitch and complain about some parts of the Jewish American community, is
Mhm.
that because there is such strong Zionist, liberal, just the status quo in America,
Mhm.
you know, it's not a hot take to say that Americans are not very informed on a lot of things that good for the American empire. And so I'm not saying that you're stupid. I'm not saying that you're uneducated, but I'm saying this confusion that you're feeling, I'm saying this is very much intentional and made to be that way. So people cannot properly advocate for
Wait,
what they're
hold on.
trying to
The
advocate.
confusion I felt by the rhetoric that you're speaking, I feel like that
Yes.
confusion was instilled directly from you.
Well, the confusion is that my definitions, and we can go online and look at scholarly articles or whatever, are
Okay.
not wrong. But yes,
But we're
of course, in America, you want Americans to focus on, we don't want to fund Israel rather than talking about what anti-Zionism is,
Okay.
which is discussing
I don't
things
want to. I don't
non-existent.
want to debate definitions. I know.
Me
I know
neither.
it seemed like I was debating.
You're a
definitions.
linguist. Of course you do.
That's the fucking worst shit. Okay, whatever. Anyway,
I
go
get
ahead.
you.
I don't want to debate definitions. I want to negotiate them. So I'm willing to work with you. All I'm
Yes.
saying is when you're
Thank you.
static about your definition, I feel like you're unable to negotiate with the rest of the public, and I find that untenable. But we can move past that, and I can work with you in this conversation.
Cool. That's all I wanted from the beginning.
Cool.
But also, let me. This is why I said the things that I said earlier. Just because I'm an anti-Zionist and that's my definition, does not mean that I will not work with two-staters to if that's what Palestinians decided that they wanted. That's why I said what I said.
Okay.
Because I'm not saying that it's not a non-starter. I want to support what Palestinians want for themselves, and that
Okay.
doesn't have to be what I want, right?
Okay. Sure.
That's why I said that.
Sure.
Okay.
Okay, so what about my talking points are so Zionist to you? And like I'm sorry, I'm not trying to be aggressive. I'm trying to be upfront. Like genuinely, what do
You're
you
not
feel
being
about my
aggressive.
talking points is so okay, great. Well, I think she took it.
You
like,
just
whoa.
feel attacked.
No.
You feel attacked, so you feel like you're attacking. No one, yeah.
Okay,
No.
I don't feel.
I think this is genuine. I don't
Okay,
mind.
cool.
It's so good. Oh, well, this confusion feels very Zionist to me. But it's, for example, just the fact that if I talk to American Jews, think about what we talked about just right now with Norman Finkelstein.
Mhm.
The idea that you can't supply a definition for Zionism. How can you know if you're a Zionist or not if you don't even know the definition for
That's
it?
I hate that. I hate that.
I'm
because
sorry.
We use it.
I can
We
have
use
other
it.
arguments, but
Wait, hold on.
we use
I
it,
don't.
but you don't know what it means.
Yeah, correct. Because we don't. The definitions are usually delineations, and I don't.
Okay.
You can. Largely speaking, sorry, I am going to be a little bit of a linguistic nerd here and say that
Go ahead.
largely speaking,
I
when
love
we
that.
use categories, we're really just referring to the prototype, and then we're using we're just trying to find things that are similar to it. So I can very easily isolate the prototype, which is for Zionism, belief that Palestinians shouldn't fucking be there. Now, I could obviously say that there are tendrils to that, but I don't know where exactly those lines begin and end. And
Okay.
largely speaking, those exist in use. I like if I ask you to define what a chair is, you can point to things that are chairs, but it's going to be
Is that
really
the central
fucking hard.
thesis?
I hear
don't-
you. I hear you.
It's a
Can I-
prototype. Yeah, go ahead.
Can we try something then? I hear
Sure.
you. 'Cause what I'm hearing is, hey, these strict definitions thing, that's not how humans work.
Correct.
And it's like you're being a like the stick up someone's ass. I get it. Yes, I don't remember
Yeah,
the
I do agree. I wouldn't use that term.
You're
yeah,
being
but
the stick, indeed.
I'm being
Yeah,
a
right.
stick. Yes, I hear you. So
Stick in the mud.
here's the thing. My father is considered a Zionist. Now, my father is the most people. Okay. When I grew up, my father wanted to give back the Golan Heights. He wanted us to retreat back to 67 borders, even maybe 48 borders. He doesn't like settlers. He hates them. He wants Israel to be a secular state. And he wanted peace with the Palestinians and a two-state solution and bring all the settlers back. Rip them out by force if necessary. I don't care. Get them all out. Is he a Zionist? To you.
Yeah.
Why?
I'm sorry. I'm gonna be so real. My baby was crying in the background, and I really tried to. I'm so sorry.
I can repeat if you want me to.
Yeah. What were you saying about the settlers? That he wanted the settlers to.
He wants the IDF to march up there, spit in all those settlers' faces, give them 2 slaps for being so.
Oh yeah, and then retreat. Sorry,
pull
I
them
do
back.
remember you said retreat to the borders. Yeah.
Yes,
Obviously, he's a
he
Zionist.
hates
Yeah.
them.
Mhm.
Why is he Zionist?
He supports a 2-state solution, wants all the settlers back, wants what's it called,
wants
all
to
the
give
all
away
the
the West Bank, the Golan
pro
Heights.
Palestine things that
Am
you
I
hear.
am I stupid? Sorry. Dude,
No, she's asking you in your opinion.
I do feel sorry. My baby is. I actually sorry. I am sorry. And I might have to leave because I think my wife.
Maybe
is
we
a
have
little
this
frustrated.
conversation later.
And maybe
That's
I'm a
fine.
little bit exhausted and honestly probably not prepared for this conversation.
Can we do this
yeah.
Monday, Prime? Next Monday, I'm down.
We're doing another Israel-Palestine conversation.
I mean, we haven't had one.
Might
in
be
a
over
while.
by then, you
Dude.
never know.
And like, here's the.
It might be.
It's like, and it's such a complicated. It's such a complicated fucking history, and
It's really
like,
not.
See, that's another Zionist.
It's really not.
Well,
that
okay, wait,
complicated.
hold on. I'm not. Hold on. You referred to all of these
Now forget
borderlines
his baby.
and
That's
referred to all of these geographical locations, and genuinely, I don't really know a lot of them. Like, and when you're saying, "Oh, well, it's
That's
really
by
not that
design,
complicated
is her
history,"
point.
you what?
It's by design.
She's the
is
one
your point.
referring to the years.
No.
He's
But
referring
you
to
don't know
47.
any, but the fact that you
This
don't
is
know
not
any of
Leave
these
him
things
alone.
is
What?
by design.
That's Zionism.
This is not accusatory.
Like, they're not teaching that in universities.
Oi, stop it.
Man.
I'm deprogramming right now and you guys are in the way. Stop.
What the fuck are you guys talking about? That's by design. You
I'm
think
working on
in university you can't take a course on Israel and Palestine and learn about
I
these
didn't finish
years
high
and
school.
then- like, no, but what the fuck are you talking about? I don't know. Like you don't know 47 based off the top of your head, and that's because of the Zionist deprogramming. That's because we don't learn years, generally speaking. I couldn't tell you when most things happen.
Hold on. Hold on. Could it be the case? Sorry, let me make this very simple.
I'm
Could
not
it
a
be the
history
case-
buff. Yeah, go ahead.
No, and that's okay. Hold on. But there are things that you do know, right? There's things that, hold on, you and I are both American, right?
Really?
I'm sorry, you grew up in America, correct? You were
Yes,
born
I did.
and raised?
Grew up
Born
in
and raised in
Cali.
America, right?
Cali.
If we talk to each other, right? There are
Mhm.
common tropes that were given to us by our educational system.
I
that we
fully
can
agree with
easily-
this.
Yeah,
I fully
right?
agree with this.
And then
Wait,
there-
hold
and
on.
then
I'm
there are
not even
others-
saying that there's
and then
not a
there are
bias in the
others-
history system.
Sure,
but the
sure,
idea,
yeah. Hold on,
I was
hold on,
countering
let me-
two
let me-
things.
Let me get it out. Let me just get it out then, right? So,
Okay.
like, yes, there are easy ways for us to communicate because there are shared tropes, shared understandings given to us by our education system
I get
and
this
given to
totally.
us by our media, right?
Fully,
And then there
yes.
are others, right? Not even talking about Israel Palestine, right? Like we don't know a lot of the history of China, right? Like a lot of
Wait,
people
hold
don't know
on.
the
I
history of
fully
China
agree with
because
this.
that's not included. Okay, great. Hold on, let me finish the point. But also it could be the case that with this understanding of this region, right? That the reason why we don't understand that might be deliberate. This confusion actually
Right.
works for certain forces.
Prime,
within
you
the United
I
understand
could have
it
fucking
enough
got
to
this
know
10
that the
minutes
Jews were
ago.
there first. You understand that the Jews were there first and they're just coming back to their homeland, do you not?
They're indigenous.
not?
Whose argument was
indigenous.
that?
They
Was
are
that
indigenous.
my
The
argument?
Jews are indigenous to Israel. No, but that's
she's making a general argument. She's making a general
Yeah.
argument. But okay, you can respond. But I just want to make
Okay,
that point.
I
for the
fucking
audience.
get that. All I was saying was two things. Firstly, the idea that the history there isn't complicated is not a Zionist talking point. There are a lot of fucking history there. There is a lot to learn.
only
about
Zionists
the
make that
different
talking
negotiate.
point, though. Like no pro-Palestinians ever gonna make that talking
Hold
point.
on.
That it's
All I fucking
complicated.
said was I don't know what years you're referring to in the borders.
I
you're
know, but I
referencing
know.
and the-
But see,
I've
but
heard the Golan
the
Heights. I don't
argument
know
when
if I
you
can
say
point
that
to
the
it on a map.
history, but
I
the
don't know if I
argument
can-
when you say
He's
that
not
the history.
attacking you. He's not attacking you.
not.
He's
No.
doing the thing-
Yes, he is because he's
No,
saying
no,
only
Hunter,
Zionists make that talking point, and I was
It
using that
is.
as a
No, Hunter.
No,
He's
that's
doing the
just a
thing. You know how
fact.
you said that her article is like it has like pro-Palestinian talking points, and you can
Mhm.
hear that. So
Mhm.
he's saying, hey, the way that you talk, The reason why Katie came in and said you sound kind of Zionist is because you're using talking points, whether you mean to or not, whether you want to or not.
Like saying that the history is complicated,
like,
it isn't a complicated thing. It really isn't.
It is a complicated thing.
Really?
It is.
What's the complication about it?
There's shit that's happened for 2,000 years. I don't know what to tell you.
It hasn't been happening for 2,000 years.
Wait, hold on. I understand that largely speaking, this conflict is 100 years old. Okay.
Yeah, that's it.
Largely speaking, for sure.
What do you?
Okay.
The conflict is what we're talking about, right?
Okay.
Like this thing.
But
not Jewish history.
Just to be clear, to have a conversation with Katie,
yeah,
you largely need to have more information than I do. And I feel like I have a surface level understanding that exceeds most Americans. Okay. That's all I'm fucking saying. That's it. That's actually it. And
so can I build up on that?
Yeah.
So, okay. So when
Thanks
you
for the sub, Admiral Gibbs. Go ahead.
So when this is all what I meant to say.
Gibbs
You know, when you're like,
what he's saying. Don't let the Jew haters get you, brother. That's Gibbs. It's not me.
No. Yeah. Gibbs, can you tell us who the Jew haters are, please? Just a quick little.
Sorry if I outed you, Gibbs. He doesn't care.
He doesn't.
Go ahead, Katie.
He also knows he gets his ass.
No. Okay. Anyway, continue.
Katie?
This is all what I meant when I said, like, hey, you know how this is overwhelming to you and confusing, and then you're telling me, hey, this is not how we use anti-Zionist. You can't say that Norman Finkelstein is an anti-Zionist, right? And I'm saying there's a reason why Americans can't even understand these definitions because they're not being taught.
No, but I understand their use. I don't need to know their definitions to understand their use.
By an uneducated community.
I agree. Welcome to language, of course. But then the definition becomes their use. That's how dictionaries use. They're not prescriptive. They look at how people use it, and then their definition
waters down
updates.
The definition, though.
Yes, I agree. Welcome to language. I don't know what else to tell you. It's semantic bleaching.
Wait. I get that you're a language person. Maybe you'll dunk on me, whatever.
Okay.
But here's the thing. I do agree with you that some definitions conform with what society ends up doing, like how literally is now literally or figuratively in the dictionary, right? But there's also scholarly definitions.
Totally. Can I counter this?
Sure. Can I just finish really quick?
Totally. I do understand this argument, but go ahead.
Yes. So there's how people use the term gaslighting in pop media, and there's what it means in psychology. And these two things are not the same.
Totally.
And when I'm saying that gaslighting is one thing, you cannot say, well, the general public doesn't.
I do get to. I 100% get to. Yeah,
okay.
I do.
Wait,
hold on.
You're having well, just real quick. You're taking American definitions and applying them to global conversations at that point, right? Because the global conversation of what Zionism is and anti-Zionism is not the same of what the American conversation is. And
that's
I think
true.
Are you guys?
You're not conforming to the majority. Well. You're not
hold on.
majority.
You go. Wait. Hold on. You go ask a fucking average. Where'd you say Netherlands? Is that what you said?
Yes.
You go ask a random fucking Dutch. Dutch boy, or girl. I said or girl first.
Or they, honestly. Come on.
No, only boys or girls. You can only ask boys or girls. You ask them, is Norm Finkelstein an anti-Zionist? And if they know who that is, they will say yes. I guarantee it. I fucking guarantee it.
Matter.
I'm countering Ollie's point, which is that this is an American conversation, and I'm saying that no, I am speaking worldwide. Secondly, speaking, you're saying that there are literary definitions, right? Or sorry, not literary. Scholarly,
sure.
Right? We are not having the term to use here is language games. A really good example. I also study math. Okay, I'm linguist in math. Okay. I would say that there are even in odds. There are only two categories, and you can't be more even than another or more odd than another, right? Parity is a pretty damn easy thing to figure out. However, if you ask a random person, they will actually say that 4 is more even than 1,002, even though that doesn't make sense. Even though mathematically that's not correct.
Even.
I'll have to take
it does
word for
feel
it.
more even. Most people, when they interact with that language, they go, that actually does feel more
it's
even.
Not.
So
I get what he's saying.
Exactly. Outside of the language game. Hold on.
That's pretty stupid.
I know what you're saying.
I want to finish my point. Sure. Outside of the language game of academia, when we're outside in the real world, we use definitions different than the experts do. And when you start clamping down onto whatever the scholars say, you are going to be completely incompatible with the rest of the world.
Okay, I hear you. Here's the thing. For example, I assume that the setting is this panel, right? So
yes, exactly. And that is critical. If we're in a conversation, if we're
I agree.
Scholars.
I will make my point now. This panel is not foreign to bringing scholarly definitions. For example, if you've been on Wake, I'm sure you've been on a panel where
I would always resist that.
I will finish my point now. I don't know if you've been on a panel where they debated whether Israel was doing genocide or not, or ethnic cleansing or not. But all what those panels are people doing the lay definitions and people talking about the scholarly definitions and bickering and arguing all day. This debate space is not foreign to mixing these things. And I also don't think that's relevant. I think this is a detour from what's really important.
Sure.
You could say,
I'm
hey,
happy to detour back. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, I hear you. Like, if I was talking to a 5-year-old, arguing with them about what they understand anti-Zionism to me doesn't matter. But a 5-year-old could also understand that I would say, well, you're wearing this shirt, which means that you are closed. And they're like, I don't have any pants, so I'm not closed. And then we'll have a weird conversation about that. It doesn't matter. We match the terms, right? That's all there is to me.
Okay.
So then we don't have to talk about that part then.
That's fine. We could skip all that. I'm fine to use your definition. And yeah, I'm for sure a Zionist according to your definition. Probably. Actually, I don't know for sure.
To be fair,
if Norm Finkelstein is a Zionist, I am 100% a Zionist. I think that's probably true.
Yeah, for sure. And this is a really good example to how a lot of people use the terms Zionist and anti-Zionist today as just like loaded words that mean to either insult or discredit rather than to describe what someone's like politics are.
You're fighting a losing battle. That's all I'm trying to say.
I'm not fighting the battle. I'm also a language person, and I'm not going to call Prime, Prime is an anti-Zionist, actually. He wants to dismantle Israel.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Ali, do you want to dismantle Israel? Are you fucking Zionist?
I'm taking
No,
off.
I'm Lebanese. I'm
Bye, guys.
You guys can have a conversation.
They're currently erasing my city off the map.
Before you leave, Hunter. Before you leave, Hunter. But you guys, do you want to have a conversation about this next week?
Personally?
Outside the article?
Personally, no.
I will, and I'll do some research, but also it is finals week, and I'm fucking going to kill myself.
You might not
for
be
next
available.
Week.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah. So like that is also part of it, and I probably have time to do it, but like an Israel-Palestine debate is like, dude, shit. I want to study a lot more because it's a complicated history.
I don't want to do a debate. If you ever like to have a conversation,
do you feel like this has been a debate?
This to me was not a debate, but that's because Prime has been silent.
Boomba. All right, cool. I would prefer not to, but if it's, and honestly, I might not be free next week.
Yeah, we can figure something out. Yeah, a conversation. No, and I would be more interested in a conversation as well, too. But I don't have the crew necessarily for that. If I could find a better crew, specifically for this conversation, that'd be better, right? So yeah. But I would include you in that crew, Hunter, is what I'm saying.
Cool. As the resident Jew. Katie, you're not invited.
I am not.
Okay.
I'm a bad Jew. I'm an anti-Zionist one. I don't count.
All right. Well then, why don't we
I don't
rate
represent.
Out?
Wait,
I'll
I need to shit on Ali.
Oh, okay.
Why would you shit on me?
Yeah, you need to stop calling Palestinian residents of Israel dogs, dude. I'm so tired of this crap. Like, seriously. Stop.
I will
Stop.
try. I will
Bye.
try. It's a firing anger within me. I will try.
I hear you, but oh my god.
I will try. It's really fucking hard not to, Katie. I understand your perspective. I get what you're saying. I get what people try. It's hard.
And I get you, but holy fuck.
It's hard. It's hard. It gets harder every day, man. It gets harder every day. I'm sorry. But like it's exceedingly difficult. It nothing bothers me more at this point. As I'm seeing like Israel do more and more, I don't know, man, people living there and supporting it. I can understand Jews wanting to live there specifically. I get it. I understand. Right? I understand Zionists.
Where do you want them to go?
Who?
The
Arabs?
Palestinian Israelis, yeah.
Go anywhere else. Anywhere else.
They can't.
Anywhere else.
They can't.
Anywhere else.
And you also
Try.
know that them being there sustains Palestinian claim on that. They are never coming back.
I don't think that.
They are
I don't think that
never
helps.
coming
I don't think that helps, especially when they get they get you. The fact that they get used every fucking conversation that gets had. This 20% claim that Israel has really tokenizes it tokenizes it, and then it gives Israel this like moral like claim on the land. I'm sorry, like the fact that it benefits it in any way is too much.
I know what you're saying, but it's really fucked up to go to like Palestinians and be like, hey, leave your ancestral homeland because you're being used as a token by fucking Zionists. Like, come the fuck.
I understand that part.
Just don't call them fucking dogs. Would you?
Oh, I will try to refrain. I'm sorry. I'm apologizing to you, even though it's my people. Even though it's my people that I'm fucking calling out. However, I understand the perspective, right? I understand the perspective. I'm willing to admit that I go a bit far on it, but it is a fucking lot, man. It is a lot. It is a lot. It's so.
Are you gonna write an article like this lady did about?
No, and this week, this week has been really particularly angering for me. All right, the whole Lebanese thing, the map thing. It's a lot. It's a lot. So it's tough. It's no. It's It's not anyone's fault. Like it's not your fault. I understand the perspective.
But yeah,
but like but. Fuck, is it a lot, man? It's a lot. It's a lot. So so sometimes it is hard. I do go hard on that specific group of people, but I hate when it gets thrown in my face. It gets thrown in my face all the fucking time, and I really don't like it. I really don't like it. Whew.
I hear you.
Sorry. I will take accountability. It is a shitty thing to do, but fuck. It gets thrown in my face every time.
I just needed to know that you realize that it's shitty and that it's not something that you actually realize. Okay, if it's a rhetorical thing, then whatever. Because last time we talked about it, you were like, "No, I'll totally defend this," and I'm like, "You will defend this?"
Yeah, man. It's once again, it's just every time this thing gets brought up, and I say anything. Well, what about the 20% of Arabs that live there? It's like, guy, this fucking kill me, man. Like, oof. It's just tough. So like, they get used as a token. And I just want to take the token away.
How do you think I feel when people go, well, most Jews are Zionists, so what's your fucking problem?
Yeah. Fuck, man. I understand. I take accountability. Right? Fuck. Yeah.
You know, sorry, I know you want to go and I know Prime wants to go, but it's like, to the point that you made about how like people get really fired up about the anti-Semitism and the Jewish thing. It's like when you call Palestinian Israelis dogs, nobody gives a fuck. But if I said that all the Zionist Jews are dogs, people would like, got called a Jew hater on this panel. I didn't say shit, but you can call them dogs. You can call them monsters. You can call them rapists. You can do whatever you want. They don't care. They don't give a fuck.
That was the point I made to Wick when he tried to call me out. I was like, you only called me out when I was talking about Israeli like Arabs, and then like it seems like you're very defensive of this group of people, right? And it's because they get tokenized, and it's like, but I'll stop.
Wick called you out on the dog thing.
Yeah, Wick called me out. We had a whole conversation where he tried to make me apologize for it, and I was like, no, man, I'm sorry. This is fucking like this is just it's disgusting. But I'll stop. At the very least for like Prime's
apologize
like,
for that.
channel.
I understand why you.
But at the very least for Prime's channel, I shouldn't fucking use that type of language unless I get his shit flagged. I don't want to get your shit. So my bad, Prime, for that.
No one's gonna flag someone calling Palestinians dogs.
I don't think it's a problem. Unfortunately,
yeah. So I won't do it anymore. I won't do it anymore.
Growth.
I will. Yeah, a little bit of growth, but just fucking it's tough, man. It's tough. These conversations are so tough because it's like.
Sometimes I have conversations and then an Israeli Palestinian comes and yells at me that I'm being too like aggressive or something, and I'm like, well, what am I supposed to do now? This guy's more of a Zionist than me. What am I supposed to do with this? Am I supposed to start yelling at them?
That's where I come in, and me and him can have the fucking fight because Jesus, man.
You can have the fight, just don't call them a dog. That's all.
Yes, yes. You know, good on you. You know. I do. Yes.
Only
Yes.
kalb. You can only say kalb.
Oh my! If I say it in Arabic, is it fine? Is it okay
Well,
then?
no, I was joking, but the thing is, no
Man.
English speakers would know. You can be like, like,
Man.
and no one will
No,
know.
but you're right. You're right. You are right. You are right. You are right. It's not a good look for me at the very least.
No, it
Yes.
is not.
Yes. Jesus. Man, they have that fucking one little arsenal for me, just like that. That 20% of Arabs, that's like,
I also, but you also know that they can't say much. Like, I get that you want them to leave, but they can't say shit, man. Like, you know that.
I don't know.
You do know.
I don't know if it's, I don't know if the benefit outweighs the good. I don't know if them, I don't know. That's a very tough, like consideration for me. It is very, very, very tough. It's
want
tough.
them to go, they can't go. They're one of the poorest communities. They don't have the double passports like a lot of other people might have. So they don't have the money. They don't have the passport.
Pragmatically, yeah, there's actual real shit on the ground.
And you know that whatever I can say, and it is limited to some extent, an Arab Israeli says anything close to the things I've been saying online for the last 3 years, and they get flagged. You know that. I covered a short of like it was after October 7th. I think it was a few months later, and this Arab girl in Haifa was walking around with a T-shirt with like a semi-automatic rifle on it, and they arrested her for supporting Hamas. Like crazy. You know they can't do shit, man. Like, come on.
Yeah.
Be reasonable.
Yeah. I apologize. I don't want to do it anymore. You got me. You're right. I already conceded. I walked it back. Well, and I didn't walk it back, online, but I said I won't do it anymore. So we got that. But just this was a bad week.
I'm sure, man. I'm sure.
Okay, I'll end the stream.